The Florida Gators put up big offensive numbers last week against Kentucky. Doug Johnson threw 5 touchdown passes. Nafis Kareem caught 3 TD balls. Freshman tailback Robert Gillespie continued to demonstrate big play capabilities. Defensively, the Gators surrendered 35 points, but safety Tico Brown came up with a big fourth-quarter interception. Mike DeBose's Alabama Crimson Tide is led by one of the Southeastern Conference's top runners in Sean Alexander. It's Florida-Alabama next. Stadium on the campus of the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. And this afternoon, a crowd of 83,000 will watch number 8 Florida take on the Alabama Crimson Tide. And hello again, everybody. Welcome to Gator Football on Sunshine Network. I'm David Steele, along with Matt Moore. We're glad to have you along today. As Florida comes off a big win last week against Kentucky, Alabama was crushed last week at Arkansas. Alabama was off to a good start, winning their first 2 games, but did not look good last week. Matt, this Alabama football team has dropped a notch or 2 in the last couple of years.
Well, this school is one of the schools that through the years has been the class of the SEC, but through the mid-90s, because of probation, they have struggled quite handily. But you can expect Mike DeBose to get this program back where they're challenging in the SEC for the Western Divisional title.
Let's take a look at a couple of the keys for today. Florida has gotten great mileage out of its 2-quarterback system. Both Jesse Palmer and Doug Johnson have performed very well this year. As you look at their numbers through the first 4 weeks of the season, Palmer ranks number 1 in the SEC, Johnson number 4 in the SEC in pass efficiency.
Well, what that does is that gives Steve Spurrier the best of all worlds. He's got 2 quality quarterbacks that he can send into play. As we take a look at Jesse Palmer as he goes to Nafis Kareem for a touchdown, you know, it puts Spurrier in a position where not only does he get to call the play, he gets to tell him what defense to look for. And if there's a problem there, as we look at Doug Johnson going to Darrell Jackson, it allows these quarterbacks to make the call, to change the play to what Spurrier would like to have. And as we say, Steve Spurrier, the trendsetter.
That's right. Several other schools around the country are going with a pair of quarterbacks, and it's working well across the nation. Alabama has a bit of a quarterback problem. John David Phillips is a 5th-year senior. He's been the starter through their first 3 games, but there's a lot of pressure on John David Phillips this afternoon, Nat.
Yeah, David, the problem is he doesn't throw the ball downfield enough. He's only been able to hook up for 1 touchdown, and because of that, you know, they have some quarterback woes. But if he struggles today, expect him to pull a hook and bring in Andrew Zhao, which is a freshman on Lake Butler that is waiting his turn, and look forward to today's game.
Alabama, as always, has good running backs. Sean Alexander, one of the best in the SEC. Let's go to Larry Battelle for more on the field. Larry?
Well, David, you're absolutely right about Sean Alexander, and as he goes, so goes the Alabama offense. Last year, Alexander struggled through an injury-plagued sophomore season, and Alabama struggled to a 4-7 record. This year, opening day, has 5 touchdowns. They beat Brigham Young, 200-plus yards. They beat Vandy. But last week, Arkansas kept them in check to only 48 yards. If Alexander's going to have yardage, look for Alabama to stretch it wide and try to give him a cutback lane. Disciplined by the Gator defense and taking away that cutback will be a big part of today's ball game. David?
Alabama ranked number 8, or rather Florida ranked number 8 in the country, takes on Alabama in just a moment. Florida Gator Football on Sunshine Network is brought to you in part by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. For some, recess never ends. Life's a sport. Drink it up. By First Union. When it comes to service, everything matters. By Great Southern Wood, makers of Osmos pressure-treated pine. If it doesn't say Osmos on the yellow tag, you don't want it. By Dairy Farmer. Got milk? By Dodge. See your friendly Dodge dealer today. And by Shands Healthcare. Improving health one person at a time. Bryant-Denny Stadium in Alabama. A home of the Crimson Tide, and this afternoon, Alabama hosting the Florida Gators. Florida really trying to get its act together a little bit better defensively. Defensive coordinator Bobby Stoops talked with us earlier in the week about what needs to be done.
In certain areas, yes, back and forth, we have improved. We've been in position that we just have to eliminate the few big plays that we've given up in each game, take those away, and we are playing pretty well. So I believe the things that we've given up are correctable. We're working on them here this week, and we'll be better from it from last week's game, and I think we will improve again from last week.
Bobby Stoops in his third year as defensive coordinator for the Gators, and last week gave up more points to Kentucky than a team had scored against a Florida team with Bobby Stoops as the defensive coordinator. So had some work to do this week. You look at John Capel, the speedster out of Brooksville, who came so close to returning one all the way back against Tennessee, which would have been a huge play, obviously, in that game, Matt Moore. But he's got potential every time he catches the ball to take it all the way.
A young man with tremendous potential that, we'd like to see him take one back and build a little confidence.
Well, here he comes. Alabama special teams wraps him up at the 20-yard line as the tackle is made by Eddie Hunter. And Florida will open shop with Jesse Palmer starting at the quarterback position once again. There you look at what Palmer did last week against Kentucky. He threw 2 touchdown passes. Doug Johnson threw 5 touchdown balls against the Wildcats. And this 2-quarterback system just keeps looking better and better week after week for the Florida Gators. Palmer will throw on first down. And the ball incomplete. In and out of the hands of Travis McGriff. Antone Hunter covering for Alabama. Florida's offensively, Jackson and Frazier, the running backs. McGriff, Kareem, the wide receivers. Dwight Edge, the tight end. And the offensive line with Deke Story getting his first start of the year at the left guard position. And the Gators really looking for better play, Nat, out of their offensive line.
Well, they've been extremely inconsistent offensively. They started out the year, they were able to run with the football pretty well. Here recently, they have not been able to get a ground game going. So, here's what the Gators would like to do is we see Terry Jackson coming off that right side.
Jackson rips off a nice run out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Kevin Sigler and Fernando Bryant made the tackle. There was a flag thrown late in the play. Big hole opening up for Terry Jackson, but a late holding call against Florida's offense. And this has been what we talked about, Nat.
Well, it's just the penalties, and this happened late in the run as Terry Jackson had good yardage. Instead of having 1st and 10, now they'll mark it off, and penalties.
Holding on the offense. Spot foul. Spot. Still 2nd down.
Referee Astor Sizemore makes the call, and let's take another look and see if we can pick up.
There you see Travis McGriff trying to get the block downfield and gets called for holding. And those are the kind of penalties that you hate to see because it's in the wide open. The official has a good view, and it's kind of hard to get away with it. But, of course, McGriff is just trying to get his running back into the end zone, trying to make the block. But you've got to be heady enough to know when to pull off and allow the back to do something on his own, dude.
Well, the penalty is 10 yards from the spot of the infraction, so it's 2nd down from the 23-yard line. Palmer under pressure. Throws it high and incomplete. Hunter had good coverage on Darrell Jackson. That'll bring up 3rd down and 7. Alabama's defense riddled last week by the Arkansas Razorbacks. Really outplayed from start to finish. If you look at them, Grimes at one end, Griffin, Carter, the tackles. They run a 3-4. Bryant and Hunter, the cornerbacks, and Dixon and Sigler, who had a big game last week against Arkansas, causing 2 fumbles. He is the free safety. 3rd down and 7 for Florida. The crowd making a lot of noise at Bryant Denny, and here comes the blitz. Palmer's in trouble. He fumbled the football. And let's see who got it. The Gators recovered it, but Warren Faust, Matt Moore, came untouched He came with a safety blitz, and nobody even saw him.
And this has been part of the problem for the Gators is the blitz pickup. When you throw the football, you've got to be able to stay in there and pick up the blitzer. You get Warren Fouts coming on a safety blitz, and the tackle turns out, the guard turns inside, and they don't see the free safety.
Alabama's trying to get a timeout called as Florida's ready to punt the ball on 4th down. And the Crimson Tide stopped the clock. Bama had 9 quarterback sacks against Vanderbilt in their big win earlier this year, and they just racked up Jesse Palmer here on Florida's first possession. So the Gators will have to punt the football when we come back. A large contingent of Gator faithful traveling to Alabama to watch the Gators and the Crimson Tide. Mike DuBose, his team embarrassed last week at Arkansas. And he's an Alabama guy from way back. You played against him, didn't you, Nat, back in the early 70s?
Had the pleasure of playing against him 26 years ago right here in Tuscaloosa. We came in here, and I was doing the day of the John Hanna and Wilbur Jackson and all the great players. You know, when you talk about this Alabama tradition, you know, and you look at the amount of players that have come through this university and went on to play on Sunday in the NFL, you know, they've got tremendous tradition and a long history of great players.
Proud tradition, and as you mentioned earlier, Mike DuBose is going to do everything in his power to rebuild this Alabama football program, which when he took over as head coach last year, the cupboard was pretty much bare. And you mentioned the NCAA sanctions in the mid-90s, which certainly now has begun to take its toll. Gator fans know all about that from the problems Florida had in the 1980s with reduced scholarships, etc. So it's a tough job, but there's a man that's committed to getting it done right.
And already, David, you know, he was 4-7 last year, but, you know, 2-1 this year, and he's getting them back to 500 football, and I would not be surprised to see them at the top of the Western Division at the end of the year.
Well, freshman David Wazalewski will punt it. Arvin Richard is deep for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Wazalewski had a nice game last week at home against Kentucky. His first one is a low line drive kick, and Richard is going to let it bounce, so the Gators get a nice roll out of it. Wazalewski is going to wind up with a 48-yard punt with no return. Alabama football at the Crimson Tide 38-yard line. No score, just underway in the first quarter from Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Alabama quarterback John David Phillips, senior from Anniston. Already a graduate academically with a degree in public relations. This is his 5th year on campus, but has not played much quarterback. Only took a few snaps last year. And they come out in a shotgun formation. A shovel pass forward is almost fumbled away. An incomplete pass, I think, is the ruling. Javon Curse, Johnny Rutledge putting a lot of pressure on John David Phillips. This is the new Alabama, Nat. They spread the field. They run the shovel pass on first down.
Well, you know, let's go back and see if we can take a look and see John David Phillips as he come out into the little shovel pass as Javon Curse is forcing it, but Johnny Rutledge is right on the hit, not allowing Sean Alexander to catch the football and get turned upfield. You know, this is a program that has, through the years, been 3 yards in a cloud of dust, but they're opening it up. They're throwing the football all over the field. It's just that John David is not throwing it downfield.
Tough, hard-nosed running inside by Sean Alexander. He ranks number 2 in the Southeastern Conference in yards per game coming in to the contest. Alexander, the tailback, a junior from Florence, Kentucky. McClintock, the fullback. McElay is the flanker. Quincy Jackson, the leading receiver, coming into the game for Alabama. And an inexperienced offensive line, which was manhandled last week at Arkansas. Alabama, 3rd down and 7. Phillips buried at the 36. Curse and Cohen's caved in on him. A loss of about 5, and Alabama will have to punt the football.
Well, Curse comes down with the sack, but this is a coverage sack as John David Phillips goes back his 3-step drop. He wants to hit the inside receiver, but he's covered as Johnny Rutledge steps in front of him. The heady player that John David Phillips is, he pulls it down, he takes the sack as we see Curse and Willie Cohen's coming in for the sack.
Daniel Pope, the number 1 punter in the Southeastern Conference, is back to punt it for Alabama. Travis McGriff, the deep man for Florida. on 4th down and 11. Pope just booms the ball. McGriff fair catches at the 23-yard line, and that's where Florida will open shop. Its second offensive opportunity of the game. A warm, muggy early October day here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, as Doug Johnson runs onto the field to operate the Florida offense on their second series. Johnson has thrown 5 touchdown passes this year without throwing an interception. Well, he's into the game against Alabama.
Well, he's coming off a big game with the 5 TD throws from last week, and here we see him going up top to Travis McGriff as he beats Anton Hunter.
Perfect throw, and McGriff caught it full stride, and Hunter was beat by Travis McGriff. Florida has a first down and goal inside the Alabama 10-yard line.
And that's one of the difference when we talk about the two-headed quarterback, is that Doug Johnson has that strong arm, and this ball gets there in a hurry. Travis McGriff gets a step on Hunter, and without a doubt, as we go back, watch how quick this ball gets there. I mean, it's a line shot, perfect pass, good throw and catch by Travis McGriff and Doug Johnson.
Well, a Hunter family, his brother Bryce played at Georgia, suffered some setbacks at the hands of the Florida Gators, certainly through the years. Here is Terry Jackson. Jackson driving forward to the 7-yard line as Cornelius Griffin, a junior, number 97 out of Brundage, Alabama, was there to make the tackle for the Crimson Tide.
And this is what you're looking for, to see just some movement. You want that offensive line to try and get a little movement at the line of scrimmage. Let Terry Jackson pick his holes. He was able to spin outside and pick up 2 or 3 yards to get it down to the 7-yard line.
Second down and goal. No backs for Johnson. A short drop. McGriff, the intended receiver, covered by Anton Hunter.
Well, David, he had a step, but the ball was just a little out front where he was not able to get a hand on it, but a little slant route. One of the favorite plays in this Gator arsenal is Doug Johnson, 3-step drop, double quick passing, making sure that he can get rid of the football before the pressure gets there. McGriff is open, but the ball's just a little out front, not able to come down with the catch.
Florida trying to take advantage of a first quarter opportunity. A third down play, 3rd and goal from the Alabama 7-yard line. Terry Jackson splits wide to the right. And it's Jackson, the intended receiver. The pass is incomplete. Tony Dixon got up underneath Terry, and he had problems getting his arms up to catch the football. And that brings up 4th down for the Gators.
Well, here we see the inexperience of Terry Jackson running the fade route, because this is a catchable ball, and as he fades to the sideline, he loses sight on it, and he's not able to get his hands on the football as it goes off his forearms.
Well, the Gators will settle for a field goal attempt. Chandler from the 14, a 24-yard effort is good. Florida gets a field goal out of it after a 68-yard pass play from Doug Johnson to Travis McGriff. Set Florida up 1st and goal at the 9-yard line, but the Gators come away with 3. Enjoy a round of golf with a former Gator golf letterman. The 28th annual Gator Golf Day at the University Golf Course was moved due to Hurricane George to Friday, October 9th at noon. Playing spots are still available, and a large portion of your donation directly supports the Gator men's and women's golf programs. If you'd like more information, call 352-375-4683, extension 4730. Florida gets on the scoreboard. A chip shot by Jeff Chandler to give them a 3-0 lead. The drive stalling inside the Alabama 10-yard line. As you see, the big play was the 68-yard connection from Doug Johnson to Travis McGriff. Chandler kicking. And the ball is retrieved 5 yards deep in the end zone by Arvin Richard, and Alabama will bring the ball out to the 20 for their second series of the football game. Florida 3, Alabama nothing. Let's go to the sideline and Larry Vittel.
Well, David, keep an eye on the Gator defensive tackles. Ed Chester, number 94, a pinched nerve in his shoulder, came out after the first 2 plays. He's clear to go back in, but that can nag someone throughout a ball game. Reggie McGrew, big brace to protect his injured elbow. That's going to have to be readjusted after basically every series, so the Gator starting tackles will have to deal with that this afternoon.
2 of the best in college football, a little bit banged up. Phillips trying to throw, and the pressure's on. The ball is fumbled, and it's Reggie McGrew battling Phillips for it, and Florida has recovered the football as McGrew muscled it away from the Alabama quarterback.
Can you believe this? The Gators finally recover a fumble. If you remember last week, every time the ball was on the ground, it bounced the other way. But here we see the extra effort as Phillips is getting hit. But here, Reggie McGrew just goes in and wrestles the ball away. You got Johnny Rutledge coming on the blitz. He shakes it loose. Now watch as you see Reggie McGrew goes in and takes the ball away from John David Phillips.
Well, Florida's turnover margin has been miserable this season, but they pick up a fumble here and are in great field position at the Alabama 13-yard line. Quarterback Jesse Palmer overthrows Nafis Kareem in the end zone. Coverage by the free safety Kelvin Sigler.
Well, Jesse Palmer overthrows Nafis Kareem, but he really gets pop at the end of this play by Steve Stanley coming free from his backside. This ball is slightly overthrown, but Jesse Palmer was very fortunate to get rid of the football before the hit.
Well, the first 2 times Florida had the ball, Steve Spurrier stayed with one quarterback for the entire sequence, but this time Doug Johnson rotates in on 2nd down from the Alabama 12. Johnson just throws it away. And it'll be 3rd down from the Bama 12-yard line. Quite a bit of contact there with Marcus Spencer locked up with Nafis Kareem, but the pass was really not catchable.
It was not catchable. Doug gets some pressure, but this is starting to show the maturity and the experience of Doug Johnson. As he sees pressure, he knows that he has no chance of completing the football. He throws it away, not giving up a big sack.
Well, Steve Spurrier has commented he'd like to see his quarterbacks be a little more mobile back there. He thinks they can outrun these big defensive linemen and have not done a good job so far this year of avoiding the pressure. And again, the Gators throw that fade pattern, and Travis McGriff can't get to the football. And here comes Florida's field goal team on again. Very unlike the Gators offense not to be able to put it in the end zone on 2 consecutive opportunities with tremendous field position.
And this is a momentum builder for Alabama, because they know that anytime they can force this talented Gator football team to settle for the field goal try, they've won that battle, as Fernando Bryant had coverage on Travis McGriff on that play.
We had movement on Florida's side, and Alabama came across. Florida has already converted a 24-yard field goal, and Jeff Chandler trying to add 3 more.
Offsides on the defense. They had to miss the penalty. Still 4th down.
When contact was made by the Alabama defense.
There you see the nose guard jumping offside, and then Jamie Carter reaching over and touching the center. So easy call for the official.
Now this is going to be another 24-yard attempt. Billy Young puts it down, and Jeff Chandler drills another one. So Chandler perfect on the day and still perfect on the year. The freshman from Jacksonville is 3 for 3 in field goal tries this season, and Florida leads Alabama by the score of 6-0 with 10 minutes 17 seconds to play in the first quarter from Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
The Florida scoring drive, 4 plays, 5 yards, 25 seconds.
Florida head coach Steve Spurrier. Tremendous success in the Southeastern Conference. Really a remarkable record when you think about the quality of play in the SEC. Florida almost unbeatable at home in the SEC and just about everywhere else they've played in the 1990s.
And that's attributed to the great job that Steve Spurrier and his staff has done, as well as the tremendous recruiting job to bring in these talented athletes that give the Gators a chance to compete at that high level.
Spurrier 60-9 in SEC play since 1990. Of course, he's lost 3 of those 9 games in the last 7 that the Florida Gators have played. LSU and Georgia last year, and Tennessee Volunteers up in Knoxville earlier this season.
That was one that the Gators really had all the opportunities to come away with, and they're kicking themselves because they didn't get beat by Tennessee. They beat themselves.
A lot of football still to be played, though, in this SEC season. As Chandler will kick it off again for the Florida Gators. Again, he booms it deep into the end zone, and Alabama has to bring it out to the 20-yard line. So a big start for Jeff Chandler today. He's kicked a couple into the end zone and drilled 2 24-yard field goals to put the Gators on top. Let's go to Larry Vitale.
Well, David, this start is somewhat reminiscent of 2 weeks ago in Knoxville, Tennessee, when Florida wanted to take a home crowd out of the game and had a couple scoring opportunities. In Tennessee, it was a turnover and a fumble, and a field goal rather. This time, just a couple of field goals. Big series for the Gator defense to keep Alabama's offense from taking advantage of Florida's inability to capitalize early.
Well, let's see if Alabama can do anything offensively. Shaun Alexander trying to get him going. He was shut down last week. Only 48 yards against Arkansas after a couple of big weeks rushing. Alabama first down yardage this year. Brigham Young and Vandy, they had a lot of success on first down, but last week Arkansas really put the clamps on them, and not getting a lot early today either.
Well, David, what they did is they put 7 and 8 people in the box, and they said, John David Phillips, if we're going to lose to you, you've got to beat us. We're not going to let Shaun Alexander run up and down the football field. And he was not able to get the job done.
2nd and 8. Again, the Gators get pressure. The ball's tipped. Javon Curse got a piece of it, and it falls harmlessly to the turf. And Alabama continuing to struggle offensively. The Freak wreaking havoc in the Alabama backfield.
Well, for you viewers at home, you just don't know how big a play this is by Javon Curse, because they have this middle screen set up to McClintock, and they've got a lot of running room as they've got blockers out front, but Javon Curse is able to jump up with that great leaping ability and that long reach and knock it away, not allowing them to execute the screen pass.
Now 3rd down and 8 for the Crimson Tide. Phillips getting better protection this time, but can't find an open man, and down he goes at the 17-yard line as Curse and Mike Peterson combine on the sack, and Alabama has to punt the ball away to the Gators again.
Well, here the Gators tricked him. You know, they came with a maximum protection. They only sent 3 receivers out. The Gators dropped back and had great coverage. This is a coverage sack, as we see Mike Peterson coming from the backside, but the Tides kept 8 people in that time, 7 people blocking, and just really had nowhere to go with the football.
Boy, this guy can really punt the football. Alabama's kicking game is outstanding. A Griff backpedal into the 20-yard line, and a flag is thrown already. So whatever Travis is able to do here, it's not going to make any difference, which is not a whole lot, because we're going to have an illegal block against Florida on its punt return, and this has been a recurring problem. But what a kick by Daniel Pope, 59 yards, and he hung it so high, Nat, that Alabama still had a lot of people around it when McGriff caught the ball.
Well, the key is not that it was a 59-yard punt, but the height, because it gave the Alabama team plenty of time to get down there. You know, you as a kick returner, you know, you marvel at the opportunity for a guy to kick it that deep to outkick the coverage so you can run it back down his throat. But when you kick it that high, it gives the coverage team plenty of opportunity to get down and make the tackle.
8:27 to play in the first quarter. Florida 6, Alabama nothing.
An illegal block in the back on the return team. Be penalized half the distance at the goal line. First down.
Well, let's go back and see what happened here as we see number 34. And I tell you what, he was very close to getting his head in front. It's just that he took the shot, hit him on the shoulder. If he holds off another second, it's a clean block.
Florida's quarterback's off to a slow start today. And the Gators put the ball on the ground and in the hands of Terry Jackson. Jackson is hit by the linebacker, number 44, Travis Carroll. And it'll be second down. The Gators get nothing out of it. That was Gillespie, rather, carrying the football. And the new Florida tailback is the freshman from Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Well, number 44, Travis Carroll, is a sophomore out of Jacksonville, and he's a good one. I was talking with Coach Jackie Shipp last night, and he said this might be their best defensive football player.
All Southeastern Conference freshman a year ago was Carroll. Johnson throws it a little high, and Jackson can't pull it down. Florida quarterbacks now are 1 for 7 today, and the only completion, the 68-yard bomb from Doug Johnson to Travis McGriff. It'll be third down and 10.
Yeah, they've had quite a few errant throws because the receivers are open, and they've just missed them. The real problem on a lot of these curl routes is that both quarterbacks have been high. You know, they've got to get the ball down, because if you start throwing that ball down the middle of the field and it's high, it sails, and the free safety has an easy pick.
It doesn't appear to be a lot of wind in this stadium either. They're just throwing the ball too high. Johnson quarterbacking. His receiver is open across the middle. It is Travis McGriff for a Florida Gator first down. As McGriff pulls in his second catch, he's got both Florida receptions.
And that's what you do, David. When you're struggling, you go back to the drawing board. This is one of the Gators' bread and butter plays, where you just run your receivers down 10, 12 yards on a curl route. As we see Doug Johnson, good job of getting depth. Travis McGriff knows he's going to get hit, catches the football as Kevin Ziegler comes in and makes the hit. But, you know, good job of running the route, maintaining possession of the football.
McGriff now has more catches this year in Week 5 than he had all season last year. Gators faking around. Here comes the pressure. Johnson unloads it, and there's contact, and a flag is going to be thrown as Travis Taylor got tangled up with two Alabama defenders. Fernando Bryan, who's the man I think that they'll say tripped him up.
Well, he had a shot at making this catch because the two Crimson Tide defenders did not locate the football, and they actually ran up his back and tripped him. The umpire did not see it, but the field judge from the sideline was the guy that made the call.
Defensive pass interference. The 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Now, the umpire was not in position to see the contact, which is not a situation you'd want to be in, I wouldn't think, if you're the umpire.
Well, he got caught running down through the middle, and he got turned around trying to get out of the way, so he didn't see the contact.
Florida picks up the first down at their 40-yard line. Johnson falls down. That play is dead when Johnson's knee hit the turf at the 36. He may have gotten his feet tangled up with the guard or the center as he tried to pull away.
Yeah, that's a normal problem that you have as a quarterback. Is that, you know, the guards are trying to pull to get their blocks and traps, so they step back, and if you don't get out of there in a hurry, when they step back, there you see Deke Story as he starts to come to the right to make a trap block. He steps on Doug's foot.
It's a loss of 4. Second down. Blitz. Johnson almost threw the ball into the hands of Kelvin Sigler, which would have been somewhat of a replay of last week's Kentucky touchdown when Jesse Palmer threw the ball to a linebacker for the Wildcats for 6 points, Kentucky.
Well, it looked like he threw it with the idea that there's no chance of completing the ball. He was throwing it in the dirt. But, you know, Alabama, let's give them credit. This is the second blitz they've come with, and they've done a great job of disguising it. As we see Travis Smith come free right up the middle. This ball is thrown down in the dirt. He knows that he can't complete. He's just trying to get rid of it and avoid the sack.
Alabama's defense has done an excellent job in the first quarter. Gators are looking at third down and 14. Johnson from the shotgun. And the the pass is caught by Nafis Kareem, but he is well short of a first down.
There are flags on the
Taken out of bounds by Fernando Bryan at the 43-yard line. Penalty flags were thrown. And the officials will talk it over with 6 minutes, 22 seconds to play in the first quarter. Florida has been good on 2 short field goals by Jeff Chandler to lead 6-0.
Delay a game on the offense, sitting the 25-second count. Still third down.
So now it'll be third down and 18 for Florida. From the Gator 31-yard line.
Third down, 18 yards to go from the 32.
Kareem and McGriff wide to the right side on third down and long. Johnson throwing it deep and way deep into the Alabama sideline. Florida will be forced to punt the ball for the second time today. And the Alabama crowd is showing their appreciation for the job that the Crimson Tide defense has done against this high-powered Florida offense in the first quarter.
Well, they're just doing a good job of mixing up their defenses. One play they'll come after you with a good job of disguising it. Then the next play they're sitting back playing coverage. Well, let's give this defense some credit for the offense not looking so good early on.
Florida leads by only 6-0. David Wazalewski is back to punt it for the second time today. Richard from the 27. They got a block up the middle. And then is buried at the 38-yard line. Good solid hit by Teddy Sims, the sophomore from Belgrade. A 42-yard punt by the freshman, David Wazalewski. Florida leads at 6-0 on a pair of 24-yard field goals by Jeff Chandler. Alabama takes possession of the ball. Don't miss Florida football highlights with Steve Spurrier Sundays at noon on Sunshine Network. Join Coach Spurrier. He'll review each week's game and look ahead to the Gators' upcoming opponent. Florida football highlights with Steve Spurrier Sundays at noon on Sunshine Network. Sellout crowd, better than 83,000 at Bryant-Denny Stadium. And it has been a defensive struggle in the early going. Florida leading 6-0 on a pair of field goals. Alabama's coaching staff upstairs. And their defensive people have come up with an outstanding game plan in the early going, shutting down Florida's offense with the exception of one big pass play from Doug Johnson to Travis McGriff. There's a new quarterback for the Crimson Tide. The pass is completed to Calvin Hall as Andrew Zhao is the new Alabama quarterback, a redshirt freshman who is a Floridian out of Union County High School, Lake Butler, Florida.
Well, David, it didn't take long for them to make the switch. As we stated in our opening, that they're not really that happy with John David Phillips' ability to throw the ball downfield.
Zhao has only taken a handful of snaps this year. Comes into the game 2 of 5, passing the football. And he's got an opportunity here. Florida puts the pressure on him, and he tries to dump it off, but the ball is incomplete. Intended for Quincy Jackson. Marquand Manuel had the heat on.
Marquand Manuel.
Well, Alabama really has something set up here as the Gators come with the blitz. There's just no way Quincy Jackson can make the block, so Zhao tries to get rid of the football, but good job by the Gators coming with a blitz, not allowing them to set up that passing attack.
Alabama really has not been able to get anything generated offensively, and now they are third down and 4. Zhao has protection, and he shows a rocket arm connecting with Eric Locke, a freshman from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Beautifully thrown ball by the young freshman. And Locke is two-time Tennessee Mr. Football in 96 and 97.
Eric Locke goes down, runs a curl route out to the left side, finds the hole. Good protection up front by this young Alabama offensive line. And Andrew Zhao does a good job of stepping up, getting a lot of zip on the football. allowing Eric Lott to make the reception.
Alabama thinks Lott is going to be a real good one in time. Sean Alexander snowed under at the 41-yard line by Rod Grady. Number 47, the sophomore from Cuthbert, Georgia. Johnny Rutledge also there on the stop, and it's a gain of only 1 yard for Sean Alexander. Game 1, big numbers against Brigham Young, even bigger against Vanderbilt in Game 2, and then last week shut down by Arkansas. That first down, by the way, by the Crimson Tide was their first of the ball game. No backs for Zhao, 3 men wide right. They dump it over the middle, almost a great catch. Calvin Hall, the senior from Gallatin, Tennessee, could not gather it in.
And for all the viewers at home, this is something that you're not used to seeing in Alabama football. They've come out with many different formations. 5 receivers out, no one in the backfield as Calvin Hall almost makes a acrobatic catch of an Andrew Zhao pass. But, you know, they're doing a tremendous job of just giving the Gators several different looks, different formations, and etc.
And again, they spread 3 men to the right, 2 men to the left. Zhao a short drop. The freshman will keep the football. And he is able to manage enough to pick up the Crimson Tide first down to the 31-yard line of Florida, where he is brought down by Derek Chambers and Rod Grady. Alabama gets its second first down on this drive.
Well, the Gators get caught. They're coming with the blitz as Mike Peterson is coming with the blitz. He actually leaves the backside as the Crimson Tide calls a quarterback draw for the first down.
Rod Grady was shaken up on the play. He's gone to the sideline. Through the middle. Tackled around the ankles by Javon Curse, and then got help from Lester Norwood. A gain of 3. To the Florida 28-yard line. Alabama threatening to take the lead in this ball game. It's Florida 6, Alabama nothing. We are late in the first quarter from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And this freshman quarterback, Andrew Zhao, has given the Crimson Tide a lift offensively.
And it's forced the Gators to go to their nickel package early on by coming out with 5 receivers.
Hit the turf before it came up into the arms of Quincy Jackson.
Andrews out pass intended for Quincy Jackson.
The young man shows a lot of courage, though, standing in there, doesn't he, Ned?
He stands in there, holds the ball till the last minute, and here's a look. He's not able to get a lot on it, but came very close to completing this ball to Quincy Jackson. But watch him just flip it off his back foot. If he's able to step up and throw the football, this would have been a completion.
Alabama at Florida's 28-yard line. 3rd down and 7. Now working from the shotgun. He connects with Jackson. Jackson can't slip away from Lester Norwood, who was the first man there to deny Alabama the first down. That brings up 4th down. And again, Alabama's kicking game is solid. Punting and place kicking. Ryan Flugner, a premier place kicker, and you see the reaction that Zhao gets over on the sideline. Nice greeting there from his teammates.
Well, he came in and added a spark, was able to move the ball down the field, get him in the field goal position. But, you know, this is what the Gators want to do. Stop this drive and go to the sideline and make the adjustments. They weren't expecting Andrew Zhao to be in the football game.
Flugner from 40. Boy, it didn't look good. It wasn't pretty, but it got through there, and Alabama is on the scoreboard. A 40-yard field goal from Ryan Flugner.
It looks like Javon Curse came very close to blocking that kick. And as you say, when it left the foot, it didn't look good, but somehow or another he got it over the crossbar and through the uprights.
Alabama has the momentum after a successful drive engineered by freshman quarterback Andrew Zhao. And then the 40-yard field goal by Ryan Flugner. Let's take another look.
You get pressure up the middle. Javon Curse gets up. And this is just a low-line drive by Flugner that split the uprights, gets over the crossbar.
Well, Alabama showed more offense on that drive. probably than they've shown in several weeks. Couldn't get anything going last week against Arkansas. Quite impressive on that possession. There's the deep men for the Florida Gators. Gillespie and Capel standing at the goal line, and Mark Wisniewski will kick it off for the Alabama Crimson Tide. A 6-3 ball game now, late in the first quarter. It's coming up short for Gillespie at the 14. Freshman picks his way through to the 30. Tripped up at the 32 by Chris Horn, number 1.
Gillespie on the return.
And Florida takes possession, leading in the football game 6-3. Let's go to the sideline of Larry.
Well, David, as the Gators go on offense here, one of the concerns about using two quarterbacks intermittently that you can have is that perhaps they'll try to do too much when they're on the field. We may be seeing the first signs of that today in the first quarter. Virtually every pass has been overthrown. The Gator quarterbacks, Palmer and Johnson, have both got to calm down, do what they can do on that play, and not try to justify the amount of playing time.
And Larry, neither one really, Dan, has been able to find a rhythm so far in the game either.
Without a doubt, they both have been high, and that's one of the problems is that when you're running in and out of the ball game, it's hard to get a rhythm and get a feel for the competition you're playing against.
Terry Jackson, somebody's helmet flies off, and Jackson driven back across the 30. His forward progress about the 34-yard line. Canary Knight, number 58, a junior from Tallahassee, out of Leon High School, made the stop.
Well, the Tides just get good pressure up the center as Kevin Ziegler came in and tried to put the hat on Terry Jackson, but Jackson just ran over him. But you notice what I'm seeing is more teams are trying to pull the ball out. The Gators have put the ball on the ground quite a bit this year, and you see the first guy in trying to make the tackle, second guy going for the football.
Doug Johnson now quarterbacking for Florida. He's got the fullback open, so he takes it, and Rod Frazier takes the ball for the first down after the 45. Travis Carroll, number 44, made the tackle for Alabama.
And that's a young man that is not used to getting the football much. So, Rod Frazier, he can come open at any time because no one expects him to get the football. As you see, the linebacker just ran away from him. So he's not going to get the ball. They don't throw it to him. Let me go over here and try and cover one of these wide receivers as they go to Rod Frazier for the first down.
It is Frazier's first catch of the year. A minute left in the first quarter. Nice opening for Terry Jackson. Jackson looking for a block downfield, and he just lowers his shoulder and bowls over a couple of Alabama defenders to the 32-yard line. Fernando Bryant took the brunt of the contact from Terry Jackson.
Well, Fernando Bryant took the brunt of the contact, but so did Travis McGriff, because the one thing that you worry about as a receiver when you're downfield blocking is that running back will not have blinders on and run up your back as he does there, as he runs over both Travis McGriff and Fernando Bryant for the first down.
Looks like Terry was waiting for the block to come, and then he just figured he'd go ahead and run through him.
Well, at a certain point, you've got to keep going.
Travis Taylor trying to make a one-handed catch. Nice coverage by Kelf Bailey. Number 13, a sophomore from Tuscaloosa. Really had Taylor covered up.
Well, you got Travis Taylor trying to go on an up route, but Calf is in great position. He's back deep, and he turns and runs. Now, here's where the problem is. If the ball's thrown outside, Travis Taylor has a chance to make this catch. Ball's thrown inside. He's got to fight back through Calf Bailey to try and get to the football, not able to make the reception.
Gators have another good offensive opportunity, but they've come away with only 2 field goals so far today. Johnson has time, and he connects with Travis McGriff. Third catch of the game for McGriff, and he stays in bounds at the Alabama 23. It's about a yard short of a first down and is very likely the final play of the first quarter.
Well, McGriff does a good job of running around. You'd like to see him get a few yards deeper, but here's what happens. He comes back to meet the football. Watch his head pop down on the football, looking it into his hands, making sure the catch before Fernando Bryant comes in for the tackle.
And the Gators don't get the ball snapped, and that is the end of the first quarter. The Florida Gators and the Alabama Crimson Tide And a defensive battle in the first quarter from Tuscaloosa. 3 field goals, all of the scoring so far. September 15th, 1990, Steve Spurrier's first game on the road as the head coach at Florida. Florida's down 7-0 at the half, but they rally. Shane Matthews connects with Terrence Barber in the back of the end zone. The Gators block an Alabama punt later in the game. Richard Fain blocked it. Jimmy Spencer falls on it in the end zone. A Will White interception, his 3rd of the game, iced the victory for Florida. 17-13 was the final. Steve Spurrier gets his first road win as head coach of the Florida Gators. And Coach Spurrier has had a lot of success against Alabama in the 1990s as Jackson carries the ball on the first play of the second quarter. And it looks like he'll have a first down to the 20-yard line. Travis Smith, the senior from Montgomery, Alabama, made the tackle. These two teams have met on 4 different occasions in the SEC championship game in the 1990s. Alabama won in 92. The Gators won in 93, 94, 96, which is the last time these two ball clubs have gone head-to-head. First down at the Alabama 20-yard line. Johnson connecting with McGriff. And Travis is driven out of bounds by Bailey at the 15-yard line.
Pushing McGriff out of bounds.
Well, Doug Johnson looked out to his left and saw Bailey back with a deep drop. A little quick hitch, give McGriff a chance to catch the ball, get turned upfield, picking up 6 or 7 yards, giving you a good second down situation, 2nd and short.
Johnson has been the more effective of the two Florida quarterbacks early on today. He has Terry Jackson behind him. Cross to Jackson. Nice cut back. Jackson near the first down marker to the 11-yard line. Smith again makes the play for the Crimson Tide. They'll spot him at the 11.
Made the tackle along with Travis Smith.
A little misdirection here. You quick pitch. Look like you want to go out to your right, and Terry Jackson's coming back. He's giving the tackle a chance to block. Good blocking out front by Dwight Edge. Getting Terry Jackson pretty close to a first down.
Florida needs less than a yard to get a first down, and Johnson sneaks the ball. He picks up 3 or 4 yards. Tremendous surge by Florida's offensive line. They drive Alabama back across the 10. Johnson will be spotted at about the 8-yard line.
Well, David, anytime you need 3rd and inches and you come up and there's not a man on the center's nose, you know, quarterback sneak's the best play in the world. You've got nobody there. You just tuck in behind Zach Sedalis, and you've got plenty of running room as he picks up 2 to 3 yards on a quarterback sneak.
Florida leading 6-3 and threatening again early in the second quarter. Kareem is wide right. McGriff is wide left. The give to Terry Jackson. And he is ridden down. Kenny Smith at about the 7-yard line. Number 88. Played high school football with Kenyatta Walker on the other side of the line for the Florida Gators.
Looked like Kenyatta Walker was the guy that was trying to root him out of the hole, but was not able to do so. As Kenny Smith got into the gap and was able to bring Terry Jackson down, but not allowing him to pick up good yardage.
Ball is at the 7. Second down for the Gators. Alabama keeps mixing up defensively, and Johnson changes the play again. Rolling right, throwing it, incomplete. Sigler, good coverage on Nafis Kareem. Give Alabama credit. They've kept the Gators guessing throughout this football game.
They've kept them guessing, and they've forced them to check off. And you know what you're getting is miscommunication once again by the offensive line. You know, they've got what they want. They got Nafis Kareem out wide, you know, working against Sigler. But Doug Johnson just don't have time to set and throw the football. You know, offensive line's got to do a better job of picking up the blitzers.
This time the Gators line up in the I formation, and again Johnson jumping around trying to change the play. It's picked off by Alabama. Fernando Bryant. And again, Matt, the Gators look confused offensively when they get down deep in Alabama territory.
Well, they checked off to a play that they really like, but the problem is running that play down here where you're trying to run a hitch and a bow out. If the corner is looking into the backfield. He's able to fall off of his coverage and make the play, as we see Fernando Bryant coming off of McGriff and making the play. This is just a tough pattern to run down here, as you see Bryant coming off McGriff. Nafis Kareem comes open, but the ball's got to be thrown deeper into the end zone.
That's Fernando Bryant's 8th career interception in Alabama. David Phillips is back quarterbacking. He'll keep the football and pushed out of bounds by Manuel at the 23. A gain of 3 yards, and Alabama playing its own little game of quarterback shuffle. Now operated the last time, and now Phillips is back at quarterback, the senior.
Well, what that does to a defensive coordinator, it means that depending on which quarterback's in the game, you've got to put a different package defensively to try and stop the offense.
Hall is the receiver. Calvin Hall, first down Alabama to the 36-yard line. And he got a good block upfield. Tico Brown made the tackle. Boy, Phillips looks like a different quarterback after settling down, perhaps on the sideline.
Yeah, they've got him settled down, and all they're doing is splitting the Gator defense out. They're spreading them out, not allowing them to get penetration early and able to throw the quick passes. 3-step drop, unload the football.
Here's the blitz. Oh, man, what a hit by Mike Peterson.
And that's the kind of hit that John David Phillips says, where did he come from? But the ability to hold on to that football is unbelievable, because Mike Peterson had a running start, and Phillips never saw it.
Here's the blitz. Oh, man, what a hit by Mike Peterson.
As a linebacker, you die for those opportunities where there's just no one blocking you. The quarterback doesn't see you. You get to hit him head on.
And you had 83,000 people sucking in with just a sigh of amazement there, as you knew that Phillips was just going to get hammered. He's running for his life again, and down he goes at the 29-yard line. And you can tell what the crowd would like to see. They thought Zal looked pretty good out there at quarterback on that last sequence.
Yeah, but I think that was set up to be a run all the way. What you're starting to see is Phillips running with the football a little bit more. He's coming out of the pocket instead of sitting back there taking the punishment. He goes back, he looks to his left, pulls it down. It's almost like a quarterback draw out to the right as he pulled it down and immediately came out of the backfield with it.
3rd down for Alabama. They need 17 yards. And again, Phillips chased and driven down. Mike Peterson, 2 quarterback sacks on this possession.
And both times he comes in, he gets a free run on the quarterback. And this time, at least Phillips saw him and started to move to his left to try and get out of there. He's running for his life as Phillips bulldogged him down again. As he's bulldogged down, by Mike Peterson.
Not a bad little highlight reel sequence for Mr. Peterson, and Alabama has to punt it. They put it in the hands of the capable Daniel Pope. He's boomed a couple already. John Capel is deep to return for Florida. They'll make a run at it. There's no flag thrown. Capel is going to catch. No, he tried to. He did touch the football, I think. What a dangerous play by John Capel. It got out of bounds, and Florida's going to have great field position. But he was trying to make a big play and almost turned into a disaster.
Yeah, but I tell you what, David, I like this. He sees an opportunity because, he's trying to make a fair catch. As he goes up, he's trying to make sure that he keeps position. I mean, it's a bad punt. You don't want to let it hit the ground, because anytime it hits the ground, it can roll and hit back a lot of yardage to the kicking team.
So the Gators get it near midfield, leading Alabama only 6-3 early in the second quarter from Tuscaloosa. Accommodations for Sunshine Network are provided by the Radisson Hotel in Gainesville. Gator fans, about 10,000 strong, have traveled to Tuscaloosa following their football team, which year after year now challenging for Southeastern Conference supremacy. And they haven't given up on this team this season either, I can promise you that.
No, the Gator fans are some of the best in the country. It was amazing as I was traveling down that highway coming from Atlanta on Friday, the amount of Gator vehicles coming into Alabama.
don't think a lot of people expected Alabama to be in the ball game at this point. But they have done a great job defensively. Jesse Palmer now the quarterback. He throws a bullet, and a nice catch by Darrell Jackson. It looked like he had the first down, but he came back to the football and probably about a yard short. Good coverage by Tony Dixon. That interception, by the way, by Doug Johnson was the first one he has thrown this year, and it breaks a string of about, I think, 84, 85 passes in a row without an interception for Johnson.
Yeah, and you know, that was the nemesis last year for Johnson. This year he's done a better job of protecting the football, as we see Darrell Jackson, who just made that catch from Jesse Palmer. But you know, it's so important to take care of the football, and anytime that you throw an interception, you turn it over, you put your defense in bad situations, and that's one that, even though this is first, he'd like to have that one back. Scoring opportunity.
Jackson carries. It appears he'll have a Florida first down. That last pass by Jesse Palmer looked a lot better than most of the previous ones. He is about an inch short, was Jackson. So it's third down and short. And the Gators try and sneak it for the first down. He only needed a couple of inches, and I think they'll spot his forward progress adequate to pick up first down yardage.
Well, this time it was a little tougher because Alabama decided to put a nose guard there and give them some resistance. But Jesse Palmer did a good job of continually pumping his legs, sliding to his right behind Cooper Carlisle to pick up the first down.
Florida's offensive line is, you look again at the first down. They're going to get a pick-me-up next week. It appears that Corey Yarbrough may be able to return next week, the starting center when the season began.
And that would be critical because the Gators would much rather take Zach Sedalis and play him at the right guard spot, as we see Jesse Palmer on a curl and go. Throw it outside. McGriff looks inside. He turns around, and ball's just overshot.
Boy, McGriff had put a lot of distance between himself and Hunter.
Well, what happened is with the pump fake, you got the corner sitting back there reading it. He breaks on it, and Hunter is just beat badly, but the ball is thrown high and outside. McGriff's not able to get to it.
And Doug Johnson moves in from the bullpen at 2nd and 10. 8:36 to play in the second quarter. Nice protection. Johnson got all day. Not anymore. Big loss back to the 43-yard line. Alabama's Travis Smith, first man there, and then he had help from Clint Wagner, number 91, and Kendall Moorhead, number 54.
And David, how many times do you see that? You got a chance to make a big play, you don't execute. The next play, there's a breakdown. As you see, the Tides are in good coverage. This is just a coverage side. Doug Johnson at this point has got to get rid of the football. But of course, what you do not do is run backwards. As you see Steve Spurrier there shaking his head, wondering what's going on.
Well, again, he has been talking a lot this week about his quarterbacks not being real mobile back there and making things out of busted plays. That was a good example. Johnson now third down and forever. There's a flag thrown, and we may have another delay of game. Griff got tangled up with Bailey, but the flag had been thrown. I think it'll be a 5-yard penalty. Florida
delay of game on the offense. 5-yard penalty for third down.
Now this drive started at Florida's 48-yard line, moved over the 50, and now the Gators are moving back in the opposite direction.
Well, it's not what you expect from a Gator football team. You get the ball on your opponent's side of the 50-yard line, you expect to get some points out of it, but as we see, they're making mistake after mistake, and Alabama's just playing the chess match and really outplaying the Gators at this point.
Third down, and the Gators have to go all the way to the Alabama 31. Palmer setting up and throwing, and the receiver Capel got tripped up, but there is no flag. And Florida will have to punt the football. Sigler is in coverage, and Alabama, you can just sense the confidence that is growing here at Tuscaloosa. And the longer they stay in this football game, the more they begin to believe they can win it.
And as we go back and look at Capel, as he goes, Ziegler comes up and he actually runs into Ziegler. But, you know, what's happening here, the sense that I get is Alabama feels that this team is not disciplined enough, that if they sit back and play coverage and confuse the quarterback, that they can go the distance without making a mistake. They just don't want to give them the big play.
Mazeluski's punt fielded by Richard. He's running hard, breaking tackles. Alabama's playing with great emotion and energy. And they've got good field position at their own 44-yard line. We'll see which quarterback Mike DeBose trots out. After John David Phillips operated a couple of possessions, then Andrew Zhao came in and took Alabama down for a field goal, their only score of the game.
Well, one of the things that Alabama is not doing is showing their hand before. They're keeping that offense over on the sideline. Bobby Stoops has got to wait to see which quarterback comes out before he can call his defensive signals. Because each quarterback, you want to have a different defensive package. There you see them holding their offense over on the sideline, waiting for the last minute.
7 minutes, 20 seconds to play in the second quarter. Gators have 2 field goals. Alabama a 3-pointer, and it's 6-3 Florida. The 7-time defending Southeastern Conference champion Gator volleyball team will host Kentucky on Friday, October 9th, 7 o'clock. And then they'll host the Tennessee Lady Volunteers on Sunday the 11th at 1 p.m. Fans of the Tennessee match will have a chance to win tickets to the Florida-Auburn football game. If you'd like more information on Lady Gator volleyball coming up, 1-800-34-GATOR. And there is the Snake, Kenny Stabler. You spent some time with him last night, didn't you, Nat?
Had dinner with both he and Bob Baumhauer, you know, a young man that, you know, he's one of the better ones that come out of the University of Alabama, that quarterback slot.
You didn't stay out too late last night, did you?
Oh, no, not Kenny. You know, he's he has matured and slowed down quite a bit.
You don't say that with a lot of conviction.
Well, but you got to know Kenny. You know, I mean,
it's all in
for some of us, that's still not slow. For him, that's slowing down quite a bit.
Relative terms. John David Phillips back in at quarterback, and a few boo birds echoing through the halls of Bryant-Denny Stadium. Phillips more or less is just running for his life on every play. Florida just collapsing in and around him as Curse and McGrew combine on the sack. And Alabama's offense is moving in the opposite direction. They've had 4 sacks today and only 6 for the year coming into the contest.
Well, the Gators are taking advantage of this young offensive line, getting pressure in the pocket as Ed Chester forces John David to pull it down and try and run for his life.
Third down and 17 yards to go for Alabama. 6 minutes to play in the second quarter. Phillips connects with Alexander. That's Sean Alexander, and Ed Chester was there to break up the play, and Alabama will punt the ball again. Well, the boos are even louder.
We're getting the boos, but, you know, some of that you got to give the Gator defense some credit for whooping their man. You know, it's not all John David Phillips' fault. You know, he's not getting time to throw the football. The offensive line are having the breakdowns, but Ed Chester on that series was just a man possessed, as not only did he force the first sack, but he also was right there to throttle the screen pass.
Daniel Pope got off only a 25-yarder his last time. Trying to keep the ball away from John Capel, and the Crimson Tide downs the ball at the 32-yard line. Gary Barnes downs the football, and Florida will have possession at their own 32. Florida with the field goal lead in Tuscaloosa. Florida's defense has done an outstanding job today, shutting down the Alabama Crimson Tide. Florida with the football. Swing pass to Gillespie. Robert Gillespie to the 40-yard line. The freshman makes a great move, still on his feet. Gillespie still on his feet at the Alabama 40. And finally they bring him down at the 31-yard line. What individual effort by Robert Gillespie.
Well, the Gators got him on a swing pass. What you want to do with a young man like this is get him out in the open field And there's just no way the inside linebacker can run with him. But, you know, the thing that's tremendous about this play is watch the cutback. He continually cuts back against these one-arm tackles. He breaks tackles. Now, here's where you like to see him just take off and run. But once again, watch him cut back again. He's just a cutback runner. What can I say?
He's an exciting player, and Steve Spurrier has said this week we got to get the ball in his hands more often. Palmer throwing deep, McGriff all alone, touchdown, Florida.
The Gators caught him without a man in the middle of the field, and you had Michael Fegan trying to run with Travis McGriff. You had number 3 on number 3, and I think the number 3 in the white jersey won.
Travis McGriff, what a year the senior from Gainesville is having. Completely recovered from a serious knee injury a couple of years ago, and one of the premier pass catchers in the Southeastern Conference, and he's proving that week after week in this Southeastern Conference season.
Well, don't tell Travis I said it, but I'm beginning to think that knee surgery helped him create some speed as he continually run away from defenders and make big plays. You know, young man come into the ball game as Jesse takes a hit delivering the throw, but look at the separation that Travis McGriff gets as he runs a post-corner post route for an easy touchdown.
Well, Travis came into the ball game today ranked second in the SEC in receiving yards per game and third in the SEC catches per game, and he's done nothing to diminish those numbers here today. As you look at the scoring drive, you had the big play by Gillespie and then the touchdown pass from Palmer to McGriff.
Well, you know, last week this guy averaged 41 yards per catch. Look at it today. He's back up around, 34 yards a catch? I mean, here's a guy that last year was averaging about 11.5 to 13 yards per catch, and this year he's at 21.2 coming into this ball game.
Watch how McGriff is able to get such separation for the defensive back. How did he do it, Nat?
And it's just great route running as he runs a post, corner, and then back to the post. Just a tremendous route ran by Travis McGriff, where Michael Fegan had no chance of covering that route.
Well, there's the big play that Florida has been looking for today. And they gather a little separation now from themselves and the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's been a stubborn Alabama defense, which has not allowed the big play. Finally, Palmer connects with McGriff for the first touchdown of the ball game. Down again. Jeff Chandler just hammering the football as Alabama has had to drop to a knee on every Florida kick today. 13-3 Florida with 4:58 to play in the second quarter. Let's go down to the field and Larry.
Well, David, you praised the Florida defense moments ago. Alabama's only had one spark offensively in this ball game, and it was when Andrew Zhao from Lake Butler, Union County High School, went in, drove them a little bit. They got a field goal. The crowd's been booing the fifth-year senior, John David Phillips. Apparently, the coaches feel the same way. Zhao back in the ball game.
Well, you feel badly for the fifth-year senior who's waited for an opportunity to play. But Zhao, and really not only Zhao, Nat, but the Alabama team seems a little more energized with him in the ballgame. It was a nice carry there by Shaun Alexander.
Well, I think it's more that he's got the good arm, but also the ability to do some things on his own where they don't feel that John David has that ability. So therefore, the offensive line, if they don't make their block, it turns into a sack where Zhao has been able to move around and still have the strong arm to get rid of the football to avoid the sack. It's not like he didn't have some pressure on him, but he was able to get rid of the football.
Keep it on the ground, and Alexander buried at the line of scrimmage at the 25. Peterson is having himself quite a game, and he makes another tackle already. Mike has 2 quarterback sacks, and he is all over the field this afternoon. But I guess you played with quarterbacks who the team just felt a little bit better about on the field. You give a little better effort or whatever.
Well, great example was when we had David Woodley and Dan Marino. When David Woodley was there, you didn't know what to expect. But when Dan Marino was in there, we just felt confident that he was going to get the job done. He wasn't going to take the sack, and we were going to be able to come down and make the play.
And there's Al completing a big third down pass to Calvin Hall. Tony George was there, but Hall had separated himself a bit from the Florida senior defensive back. And Alabama picks up the first down on a big third down conversion.
Well, the Gators get pressure, but the key is Zhao gets rid of the football in a hurry. John David holds the ball a little bit longer, gives the defender that extra step that's needed to come down with the sack.
That's a first down for Alabama at their 32-yard line. 3 minutes, 23 seconds to play in the first half. Florida 13, Alabama 3. Now unloads it again quickly and connects with Locke. Well, that combination has looked pretty good. That young freshman, Locke, is a true freshman. Zhao is a redshirt freshman, and they hooked up 2 times on Alabama's previous drive.
And it just looked like he's so comfortable back there in the pocket. He knows where he wants to go with the football. And look at the zip once he gets rid of the football. I mean, he's able to zip it in between the Gator defenders, giving Locke a chance to catch the ball, square up, and try and do something with it after the catch.
Bama moving the football behind freshman quarterback Andrew Zhao. Now they try to run it, and Alexander just has had no daylight at all today. Sean Alexander entering the game, number 2 rusher in the conference with 123 yards per game. Willie Cohen stopped him that time. Along with Ed Chester, as you look at Florida coaches upstairs.
Well, one of the things that you know that the Gators came in here wanting to do is to play good run defense, force John David to beat them. They didn't have any idea that Andrew Zhao would be in here, and he's able to move this football team through the air.
Second down, Florida trying to get pressure on the youngster, and he steps up in the pocket. He throws it up for grabs, and it falls incomplete. Florida had tremendous pressure from Marquand Manuel. And, you're going to get a lot of good with a talented youngster like that, but he also is liable to make a mistake or two somewhere along the line.
But what he did, watch him avoid the sack as he slides up, and he's able to get rid of the football. If that was John David, that's a sack. That's the difference between the 2 quarterback system.
And I think that's what Steve Spurrier is looking for a little more of from Doug Johnson and Jesse Palmer.
Yeah, he would like to see those guys start to do something on their own. It'll make the offensive line job a little bit easier because at any point, if they get pressure, they can come out of there, and instead of being a negative play, it becomes a positive play.
Once again, Zhao completes the third down play, and Alabama picks up the first down. It's Calvin Hall again on the receiving end. Hall has caught 3 or 4 passes this afternoon.
Well, Calvin Hall is isolated over on Tony George, and Zhao sits back, waits for his receiver to come open, makes the throw, perfect throw, not giving the Gators a chance to react and intercept the ball or even knock it down.
Alabama started this drive at their 20-yard line. The Crimson Tide trailing 13-3. The give to Sean Alexander. And a big hit by Ron Grady, the strong safety. Saw the delay coming all along and stepped into the gap and made the hit. Again, Alexander not able to find much room.
Well, when you play run defense like this, you give up a little something on the pass defense, and that's why Andrew Zhao is having such success, as they're isolated one-on-one outside, the corners are backed off, and he's got room to throw the football as long as he gets rid of the football on rhythm.
Gators have not shown a lot of different looks to Zhao yet. There's another pass completed to the freshman. Locke. Short yardage gain, about 4 to the 35-yard line, and Alabama's looking at another third down conversion opportunity, which Zhao has been very good at so far in this ball game.
And the reason being, David, there's no indecision. He goes back, he sees some pressure coming, he knows where Locke is, he unloads the football.
And he's running the Alabama offense the way Mike DeVos and the offensive staff was hoping it would be run. Offensive coordinator Neil Callaway have to be pleased with the play of Andrew Zhao. Almost threw it away that time, though, into the hands of the big fella. Ed Chester, or it was McGrew that almost picked it off. Reggie McGrew.
Well, that's where Bobby Stoops reached into his bag of tricks as he came with a blitz, and he pulled the right defensive tackle out. And as we saw, once again, Andrews out, knows where he wants to go with the football. Boom, he's going with it, but he didn't see Reggie McGrew coming out of the pass rush situation. He's got his man, Calvin Hall, open. And if McGrew doesn't come back, it's a completed pass.
This is going to be a 52-yard attempt. Flugner hit one from 55 last week at Arkansas, and he has got plenty of leg, but the kick is no good. And more, I'm telling you that he had the distance to kick one from 63.
Well,
I was 68.
I was told by Coach Jackie Schiff that Flugner has got unlimited range, that he's been kicking 60-yard field goals in practice. You know, he's got a real strong leg. He gets into it.
No question about the distance, only the direction. Off target for Alabama's Ryan Flugner, but you gotta still tip your hat to that freshman quarterback Andrew Zhao. Once again moved Alabama's offense for several first downs. Palmer is back in at quarterback after throwing the touchdown. They dump it. This could be a big play for Terry Jackson. The flag is down, however, as Jackson picks up first down yardage, but look out for the penalty. It probably is going to be a hold against Florida.
Right there in the center of the line, even though it was a delayed flag. I think they got Zach Sedalis.
Holding on the offense. A 10-yard penalty from the original line of scrimmage. Still first down.
If you Gators are trying to set up the middle screen, and they're able to get the ball to Terry Jackson, and there you got Zach Sedalis just holding on. It's kind of hard not to make that call when it's right there in front of the official.
Florida is 10th in the SEC in penalties. Alabama is 11th coming into the game. Palmer on the give to Robert Gillespie. And did he fumble? It looks like an Alabama man's got it, but the officials have not signaled yet. It appears Gillespie may have been down before the ball popped out of there. And that is the call. So Florida keeps it. And here comes Terry Jackson rotating in for the freshman Gillespie.
Well, one of the things that cannot happen is the ground cannot cause a fumble. So let's take another look and see if he hits the ground before the ball pops out. He gets hit pretty good. He's down. Ball pops out as his elbow goes down. Marcus Spencer was the guy on the play.
That's going to be the final play of the second quarter. Alabama's hanging with number 8 Florida here in Tuscaloosa. It has been a hard-fought first half as Alabama, embarrassed last week at Arkansas, showing a lot of pride today and battling toe-to-toe with ranked Florida here at Bryant-Denny Stadium. It is halftime in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Number 8 Florida leads the Alabama Crimson Tide 13-3. And now it's time for our University of Florida halftime interview. Our halftime guest is Mr. C.B. Daniel, who is a University of Florida alumnus and also the chairman of the board of the First Union National Bank in Alachua County. And C.B. is involved on many different levels at the University of Florida, and actually with regard to the university system in the state of Florida, as he's a member of the Board of Regents in Florida. Tell us a little bit about the role of the Board of Regents in Florida, C.B.
Yeah, thank you, David. I appreciate it. It's great to be here in Alabama, too. It's a beautiful place. Let me just tell you that the basic role of the Board of Regents, quite frankly, is to set the policy and offer the direction for our 10 state universities with the idea of meeting the needs of higher education for all of our citizens in the state of Florida. That basically is it.
Well, it's a big job. It sounds simple and easy, but it is a very big job and not the easiest of decisions to be made. And I understand that recently the Board of Regents have gone to a tier system in the state of Florida with its universities. Tell us how that works.
Well, you know, we're really excited about this. Something that should have been done years ago is the idea of classifying each one of our universities in a category that best suits their particular needs and takes advantage of their strengths and their missions as a university. For an example, University of Florida, Florida State University, and University of South Florida are set to be in the category of Research 1 University. This gives the University of Florida an opportunity to reach its fullest potential as one of the major universities in this country as a AAU graduate research university. there's only 64 of them in the entire country, so this puts the University of Florida in a position where it can achieve that kind of level of distinction and the opportunities there. But all of our universities in the state, all 10 of them, have this opportunity to reach the next level of excellence under this system.
Well, what are the advantages for students in the Sunshine State when you make it a tiered system?
Well, I think what it does is make sure that access is available for all of our students going forward. That's the commitment from the state university system. There will always be a place at a university that they can get into as a public university.
You're also involved with the University of Florida's Research Council Board. Tell us about your role and what that's all about.
Yeah, David, you're right, and that's a huge area for all of us. The research at all of our universities is an important ingredient for economic development for our whole state. It's the lifeblood of economic development, and having an opportunity to serve on that Research Council Board, it gives me the opportunity to see the extent of research that we're doing not only at the University of Florida but around the state. The University of Florida this year alone is approaching $300 million in research, quality research, and that's staggering, and this is happening all over the state.
Congratulations on all the work that you're involved with, and best of luck in the future. C.B. Daniel.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it.
Halftime continuing in Tuscaloosa at Bryant-Denny Stadium. The Florida Gators 13, the Alabama Crimson Tide 3. And that more and I will be back in just a moment with first half highlights and statistics.
Other games in progress this afternoon.
Florida Gator football on Sunshine Network is brought to you in part by Nokia, connecting people.
Midway through the third quarter, Ohio State 21.
Halftime at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Number 8 Florida leads the Crimson Tide 13-3. And let's look at some of the highlights of the first half. A defensive battle. The Gators get the defense cranked up early, Nat Moore.
Get some pressure with Johnny Rutledge coming up the middle, forcing the sack, and the Gators get their first fumble recovery of the year. The ball finally bounces their way.
Alabama also making some big plays on defense.
Yeah, one of the big errors by the Gator offense is Doug Johnson tried to go to the flat, and in the process, the turnover. And here's just a picture-perfect sack by Mike Peterson on John David Phillips, showing how well the defense is playing.
Only one touchdown in the first half, and here it is. Jesse Palmer connecting with Travis McGriff.
And this is called, we've missed him a couple times early in the ball game. Hey, got him going through the middle of the field. Perfect throw and catch.
Well, look at the first half statistics. The Gators with more first downs and rushing yardage and passing yardage and obviously total yardage. The turnovers are even at 1 apiece. And you see the yards per play, Florida 2-1 over Alabama.
And that's big. And that's big, especially when the team is only averaging 2 yards per play. You know, it's hard to maintain possession of the football.
Well, the quarterback shuffle with mixed success for the Florida Gators today. Johnson had a few moments and then threw the interception, and Jesse Palmer came on to make the big play to Travis McGriff for the touchdown.
And I think I don't know whether you would call it a little jittery or et cetera, because both quarterbacks early on was extremely high, it was off target, and now they've went back to basics. They're running the curl routes, and they're actually just fitting it in, getting the ball to them right over the center of the field.
There's Jesse Palmer as he started slowly, but then finished much better with 4 of 10 completions, 77 yards, a touchdown. And Doug Johnson, 5 out of 14. So the combination quarterbacks there, 9 out of 24. And not the kind of production that Florida has been putting up. But give Alabama some of the credit here because they've had good schemes defensively.
Yeah, they've done a good job of mixing up their coverages and then showing blitz, backing out, and then showing coverage and coming with the blitz. But I'd expect to see those numbers change dramatically for the Gator quarterbacks.
Travis McGriff, a big first half, 5 catches, 129 yards and a touchdown, and he's the only receiver for Florida that's caught more than one pass in the first half.
Well, Travis has become the Gators' go-to guy, and you know, he's a senior that has waited his opportunity, and now he's making the most of it.
Jeff Chandler kicks it off, and we're underway in the third quarter. This time it's about 3 yards deep, and Richard's going to carry it out of there. He made a nice move to break free. Look out, Richard hit from behind. And a nice return by Richard to the 35-yard line, a 38-yard return by Arvin Richard, a sophomore from Atlanta, Georgia. He's been just itching to bring one out of the end zone. He finally took a chance.
Well, this one he takes it 3 yards deep in the end zone, and he comes with it. And this is just great individual effort by Arvin Richards as he's bottled up, and he makes the right cut, make guys miss him, finds another seam. And the Gators are finally able to get him onto the ground.
Let's check with Larry on the sideline.
David, after the first half, Coach Steve Spurrier very happy with his defensive effort. They've kept Alabama out of the end zone. Offensive-wise, he liked what he saw the last few plays, and he thinks the Gators might be starting to click offensively. Look for some productivity here in the third quarter.
Thanks, Larry. Alabama would like to run the ball a little bit with Sean Alexander. They tried to run him between the tackles in the first half primarily and try to kick him to the outside on their first play of the third quarter, but whether it's inside or out, Alexander has had no place to run the ball today.
Well, the Gators have got the middle stacked up, so they tried to get him with a little quick pitch. But the thing that I noticed on that play, as Zhao pitched the football, he came out to his right, and he was taking a look to see if the defensive end stayed at home.
Zhao under center. Dumps it quickly. Jackson's first catch of the day is good for about 7 yards, and he is taken down by Rod Grady. Quincy Jackson, the senior from Brundage, Alabama, came into the game with 16 catches and a touchdown, but that's his first catch today.
Well, here we can go back and take a look, and you'll see the difference in Zhao. One step later, he's sacked, but because he's able to get rid of the ball in a hurry, he avoids the sack as he gets pressure in the pocket as Mike Peterson comes, but he's already unloaded the football.
Zhao throws it up. He's got a man all alone. The ball is caught by Bowens. Bowens, a nice cut back to the center of the field, but he fumbled the football. And Alabama's got it at the 7-yard line of Florida. Jason McElvey fell on the fumbled football, but there was certainly not a breakdown in coverage in Florida's secondary. Bowens all by himself.
Looked like there was a blown assignment as Bowens is able to catch the ball down the left side of the football field. Grady does a good job of forcing him to turn back into coverage, but here you get the ball stripped out, and McAtley is just in the right place at the right time to maintain possession of the football for the Crimson Tides.
Alabama shifting out of the shotgun. Florida dancing around defensively as Zhao rolls to his right. He's got the man open, and he did not get in. I'll say he is down. McElvey just shy of the goal line. A redshirt freshman from Oak Ridge, Tennessee, almost had his first touchdown for the Crimson Tide there on the Florida doorstep.
And I tell you what he did. He did a good job of getting back inside, and as Zhao rolled to his right, he became a big target and just started to move. He did a good job of waving, showing Zhao he's open. Zhao gets him the ball.
They're in the I formation. There's a flag down. As the fullback, McClintock, goes over the top and into the end zone, but let's check and see what the penalty flag is going to be about. It's offsides against Florida. Touchdown, Alabama.
David, the Gators did a better job in the first half of this ball game of not having the mental mistakes, not giving up the big play. And then you see the first opportunity, first possession, there's a breakdown, and Alabama's able to go down the field and score.
And the Crimson Tide just about to make it a 3-point contest early in the third quarter as Ryan Flugner chips it home. And Alabama is riding a wave of emotion coming out of the locker room. And that has been a problem for Florida in previous games this year. Have not been real solid coming out to start the second half, and Alabama scores. Tune in to Sunshine this Thursday for Gator Hotline, the popular call-in show with Coach Steve Spurrier and host Mick Hubert. Gator Hotline is presented by Dodge, Thursday at 7 p.m. only on Sunshine. Alabama did not score a touchdown last week at Arkansas, but quarterback Andrew Zhao has provided new life, new energy to the Alabama Crimson Tide offensively, and he has just driven them for their first touchdown in the last several weeks. And he's made a close contest of this one against number 8 Florida early in the third quarter.
Well, Well, you have to wonder, David, if Bobby Stoops won't come back and start to try and apply a little bit more pressure, make him have more reads instead of sitting back playing defense and trying to force them to make a mistake. They've went after John David, but they have not went after Andrews out.
But as you pointed out several times, Nat, Sal seems to step back and make a very quick decision and get rid of the football in a hurry. He's a little more difficult to hem in back there.
Yeah, but anytime you decide that you want to go after a guy like that, what you've got to do now is bring your corners up, and you got to get people in the face of the receivers early on so that he has to hold the ball a split second longer. Right now, what they're doing is they're playing back off, so he's able to get rid of the football on rhythm.
Bounds, illegal procedure. He's placed on the 35.
That's a good point, as Florida takes over at the 35 after the ball is kicked out of bounds. Alabama, I mentioned earlier, only Kentucky is more penalized early in the year than Alabama and Florida. Jesse Palmer swings it out to Terry Jackson. Jackson, they had him, but then lost it. As Jackson is able to pick up a couple of yards to the 37-yard line. Cornelius Griffin, a transfer from Pearl River Community College, is there to make the tackle, number 97.
Well, this play was doomed from the inception. Griffin is out there. Carroll is out there. There's just nowhere for Terry Jackson to run. But he's able to get back to the line of scrimmage and pick up an additional 2 yards.
Alabama's defense energized after the offense was able to put the ball into the end zone. And they've played pretty well to begin with today. As Palmer steps up and throws it. It is caught in Alabama territory by Nafis Kareem. And a first down for the Florida Gators. A well-thrown ball by Jesse Palmer. Not bad coverage by Fernando Bryant, but just a beautifully thrown pass by Jesse.
Well, Nafis Kareem does a real good job of getting good depth and coming back to meet the football, and that's why this ball is completed. Bryant was in good shape, but by coming back to meet the football, he's not able to break down the cushion.
Nafis Kareem, his first catch of the game. Palmer rolling out. Throws it back across the green, and the ball is incomplete. The tight end, Dwight Edge, was the intended receiver. A lot of crimson shirts in the area.
And that's something that you were talking about that Steve would like to see a little bit more mobility. That time, Jesse Palmer was able to scramble around, get outside the pocket. But what you'd like to see him do is tuck it under and pick up some additional yardage instead of trying to throw back across the grain, and easily the ball could have been intercepted.
And Palmer could have easily outrun that big lineman, probably for 7 or 8 yards up the right sideline.
And there's nothing wrong with him running with the football.
Look at the blocking up front for Terry Jackson, as Jackson gathers about 7 to the 41-yard line of Alabama. Canary Knight was there to make the tackle. Great block thrown by the fullback, Rod Frazier, to spring it free for Terry Jackson.
Rod Frazier is one of the best there is at the isolation block, and Terry Jackson just reads his block, goes to the left, picks up 5 or 6 yards, just lowers his head and tries to run over number 58. Canary Knight.
Eugene McCaslin is now in the backfield with Jesse Palmer and Rod Frazier for Florida. 3rd down and 4. And now Palmer steps under center, and the Gators want to call timeout, but they didn't get the timeout call in time. This is going to be a delay of game penalty against Florida.
Delay game on the offense. 5-yard penalty.
Now instead of 3rd down and 4, you're looking at 3rd and 9, and an entirely different set of circumstances.
A tremendous setback, because anytime you've got 3rd and 4, you can do anything. You can run the football, you can screen the football, you can run hitches. But, you know, Jesse Palmer has to be alert. He can't hear, but even still, he's got to be aware of the shot of the 20-second clock, or the play clock, excuse me.
Well, Steve Spurrier was unhappy because he thought Frazier threw up the timeout call and plenty of time for referee Astor Sizemore to give Florida the timeout. But instead, the officials let the 25-second clock expire on him. And now Florida will use a timeout as the 25-second clock was almost down to the nub again.
And that's just poor clock management. You end up taking the penalty on third down and then not hustling up, not getting the play in so that you don't have to use that timeout.
Right now, confusion reigns on the Gators sideline as they still lead in the ball game 13-10. Florida Gator football on Sunshine Network is brought to you in part by AT&T Wireless Services. It's all within your reach. By Toyota's quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, every day. And by Nokia, connecting people. A close football game in the Southeastern Conference today at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Alabama really pummeled last week at Arkansas, but the Crimson Tide have come back this week and are giving the Florida Gators all they can handle here in Tuscaloosa.
You're right. You've got to give the Crimson Tide a lot of credit, but the Gators continually help them out with these penalties at inopportune times. They've had several big plays called back because of penalties that would have put them in good second and short or third and long or first down position, but in the process they end up third and long.
And the Gators had to burn a timeout. They're third down and 9 at the Alabama 46. Quarterback Jesse Palmer. Hand signals to his wide receivers on the left side. A wide open McGriff makes the catch and holds on at the 34-yard line. A first down for the Florida Gators.
Well, that was just a great catch by Travis McGriff because the ball is behind him. If he's able to hit him in the numbers, Travis McGriff is still running. He's got a good lane, good protection, and then he just throws the ball behind him, but McGriff does a good job of sliding in there, fighting back to make the catch.
There's a key member of Alabama's secondary, number 25, Fernando Bryant. Two-time second team All-Southeastern Conference on the sideline. McGriff the target. He's got it inside the Alabama 5 at the 4-yard line. First and goal for the Gators.
I'll tell you, this senior is just running phenomenal routes. This time he's got a post corner route. He's isolated on Calf Bailey. He takes a good hard inside release, makes a good move inside. He's in a trail technique, but this is just a good throw and catch and a perfect route ran by Travis McGriff.
What a game the senior from Gainesville out of P.K. Young High School is having. His father, an All-Southeastern Conference receiver for the Gators in the early 70s. Florida is first and goal at the 4-yard line. McCaslin. Hard running. Sigler and Dixon, the safeties combined. Eugene McCaslin has not had many carries this year. Sat out the first 3 games because of a suspension and played sparingly last week.
Well, what the Gators want to do is to run behind that left side. Zach Pillars, Deke Story, Zach Sedalis, but the Crimson Tide was up to the challenge.
The freshman Gillespie trying to turn the corner. And down he goes. Canary Knight hit him back well behind the line of scrimmage. They're going to spot Gillespie at about the 11-yard line, and it will be third down and goal now for Florida.
Well, Canary Knight is able to fight off the block of Aaron Kinney, and this doesn't allow Gillespie a chance to get outside.
Third and goal from the 11-yard line.
So now the Gators trying to put it in the end zone, but have got to come up with a big play. Nobody back with Palmer in the backfield. Yes, he's got time. The receiver, Nafis Kareem, has a few words for the field judge, but he's got no flag. And Florida will have to settle for 3 again. Reggie Miles had the coverage on Nafis Kareem.
Well, Reggie Miles got away with a hold at this point. This is something that happened right in front of the official. He doesn't make the call, but as Nafis Kareem makes his move, tries to come out to the corner, he's being held by Miles with no call.
27-yard attempt for Jeff Chandler. He's hit 2 from 24 earlier today, and this one is good. Chandler is still perfect for the season. 3 for 3 today and 4 for 4 for the year. But Florida just noses ever so slightly ahead of Alabama again with 3 instead of 6. And now it's a 6-point Florida Gator lead with still 8:24 to play in the third quarter.
Chandler picking off for Florida.
The KTK Gainesville Sun Gator Kids Club is accepting applications from kids in 8th grade and under. For just $19, kids receive a membership card, a Gator gift pack, including a members-only Kids Club t-shirt and a lunch pack, exclusive clinic opportunities with Gator athletes and coaches, and discounted admission to Gator athletic events. If you'd like more information, 1-800-34-GATOR is the number to call. Steve Spurrier, visor intact today despite some frustrating moments with his offense. Florida leads 16-10.
Well, it's been a long time since this Gator football team have been down and settled for 3 field goals in 1 ball game in perfect conditions.
Jeff Chandler done a marvelous job of kicking off today. This time it's going to be a returnable football from the 5-yard line. Richard almost broke one last time, and he's got another good return. Driven out of bounds by Alexander at the 34-yard line.
To the 33-yard line.
Well, Arvin Richard just does a good job of tucking in behind the wedge, hiding, and then popping out at the last minute. As the Gators go down, he finds a hole, pops through. Gators finally get him out of bounds.
Let's go to the field and Larry.
But David, the Florida Gators, as you mentioned, 3 field goals. You got to think back to the Mud Bowl in '93 in Jacksonville against the Georgia Bulldogs when Judd Davis was the man for the Florida Gators kicking the 3-pointers. But the Gators are having so much trouble in the red zone on the road, both in Knoxville and now here. That's got to stop, and it's got to stop soon.
Got to be a concern for Florida coaches. Alexander, he's been bottled up all day, but he pops to the outside and finally finds a little green grass to run on. Sean Alexander out of bounds near midfield. Pollard and Grady were the 2 that finally made the stop, but the best looking run of the day by Sean Alexander.
And this is what having a quarterback like Andrew Zal does. You start worrying about him, and all of a sudden you got Sean Alexander coming out of the back door. Good job of cutting back, coming all the way out the back door. That play looked like it was scheduled to hit off the right tackle slot.
Alexander again trying to run between the tackles, and Javon Kearse closed it up with Ed Chester. Johnny Rutledge shooting in from the middle linebacker spot. Gator defense being tested by this redshirt freshman, Andrew Zhao. They've pretty well contained Alabama with their defensive play, except for the one big pass play, which the receiver Tim Bowens found himself all open, and that led to the only Alabama touchdown.
Well, the thing in the past that have happened with this Gator football team as far as defensively, they've either been able to go in and take the ball away in a hurry, or they give up a big play. And here recently what has happened.
Play by Tony George.
As I had to stop there because I was looking at this play, because we're talking about big plays, that the Gators have given up big plays in the past. So far today, this team with Zhao in there has been able to control the football. As you see, he came very close to hitting Quincy Jackson, as Tony George does a good job of turning completely around and locating the football and coming very close to the interception.
Florida had a strong safety blitz on. Grady came, but was picked up by an Alabama back.
And Zhao moved around, gave himself some more time to possibly complete that throw.
Mike Peterson tips it up high, almost intercepted, but is incomplete. Tico Brown, he had his eyes set on the goal line. He was going all the way if he'd been able to pull it in.
And that's probably why he did not come down with the interception, is he was looking at an opportunity to take it to the house, where defensive backs are taught to go up and catch the ball at the highest point. Now watch this. It's batted up. Now if he goes up at the highest point, see, he's just running to it. If he goes up at the highest point, he catches that football, and he's not undercut by Locke.
Locke did a nice job of getting his body up underneath Tico to keep him from catching it. Daniel Pope trying to keep it away from McGriff. He shanked that ball off the side of his foot. That is not your typical Daniel Pope punt.
Well, I think what has happened with Daniel Polk, he come in as one of the better punters in the SEC, but what has happened in his efforts to try and kick away from John Capel, all of a sudden now it's coming off the side of his foot. If you normally you say, well, I'll kick it to Travis McGriff. He can't get it in the end zone in a hurry. John Capel back there, you start to worry a little bit, so you start trying to kick it sideline to sideline, and pretty soon you start shanking it.
They might have gotten confused there because McGriff was actually back on the field for that one. The Capel had been the deep man, but
he might be like me. He might be nearsighted, you know?
McCaslin is back in the Florida backfield, and Eugene takes the handoff. Cruising runner across the 30 to the 33-yard line. Steve Stanley, number 4, is there to make the tackle for Alabama. Eugene McCaslin.
Strong side linebacker Steve Stanley comes all the way from the right side to make the tackle.
Second down, 6 yards to go.
Pretty good gain on first down, though, for McCaslin, who carried last year for 93 yards and 1 touchdown as a sophomore. Doug Johnson quarterbacking, and he got rid of the football. And a flag is thrown. Doug Johnson's pointing at 2 teammates upfield. Frazier raising his hand. McCaslin was also about 5 yards away, but the officials are going to call grounding the football on Doug Johnson.
Well, that would be a bad call because he was actually trying to get the ball to Rod Frazier, who was in the vicinity. You know, if they rule in the grab, that's one thing, but to say intentional grounding when he's got a man in the area is really a blatant call.
Referee Astor Sizemore. Well, at least he made the right call in the end.
Without a doubt, that is the right call because you've got both backs right there, and as he's getting pressure, he sees Frazier right there as he's trying to get rid of the football.
We saw a play last week where Tim Counts threw the ball out of bounds, and there wasn't a Kentucky man within 25 yards of the play. Well, that was certainly the proper call.
Well, good heads-up play by Doug Johnson. You know, the thing is, though, when he looks downfield, he doesn't have a guy open. He's got to get out of there. You know, he can't sit there in the pocket knowing that the pressure's going to come.
Alabama fans didn't like to call too much. Johnson does run away from pressure this time. And he finds McCaslin, and Florida picks up the 3rd down on a big 3rd and 6. Travis Carroll covering for Alabama. Nice job by Doug Johnson that time to break away from the Alabama pressure.
Good job of avoiding the sack, getting outside. But once again, David, he throws the ball back to McCaslin right there in pressure. He makes the catch, but I would like to have seen him pull it down. It's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, and run with the football. Every now and then, the quarterbacks need to do a little something on their own to get a first down.
McCaslin still in the game. Receives the handoff from Doug Johnson. Florida's front line had a little surge along the left side as they drove Alabama back 3 or 4 yards. Let's give him 4. Kelvin Sigler, the free safety, made the tackle for Alabama.
Well, here we see what Eugene McCaslin see. He sees that big front line just moving people out of there as he tucks under and picks up 4 to 5 yards when there was no hole, but they moved the wall.
Florida leads by 16 to 10. Their 2nd down near midfield. Johnson stepping up in the pocket. Connects Darrell Jackson to the 35-yard line of Alabama. Michael Fagan made the tackle for the Crimson Tide, but the Gators pick up another first down. They're moving the football behind the arm of Doug Johnson.
And here's what happens when you give a guy like Doug Johnson plenty of time to throw the footballs. We see the offensive line doing a tremendous job of pass protection, giving Johnson a chance to get the ball out to Darrell Jackson as he's isolated on Michael Fagan. And there's just no way one-on-one these Alabama defensive backs can cover our receivers.
5-second clock almost down to the nub, and there is a flag thrown as McGriff can't find the football. Penalty flag went down, and it might be another delay of game. I thought the Gators had about a second left when the ball was snapped, but maybe not.
Well, what happened is that in the process of trying to get the audible call, you had Eugene McCaslin shift up because of the audible, and they had to rush the snap, so he wasn't set. And I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to get hit with.
Yeah. Not a delay of game, a procedure against Florida's Eugene McCaslin.
The dead ball, false start on the offense. The 5-yard penalty, still first down.
There are some similarities here, Nat, in this game in Tennessee, where Florida moves the ball up and down the field, but they'll make a mistake here or there, penalty, and not be able to put it in.
Well, here's the problem. You know, as a quarterback, you've got to be aware of where your guys are, and that if one of them has to move, that you've got to have enough time to get the ball snapped.
Alabama comes with a blitz. Johnson finds his big tight end, and the ball is caught by Aaron Kenny at the 37. Only 2-yard pickup, and it'll be 2nd and 13 for Florida.
Good protection. Offensive line doing a good job of sifting out the defenders, and you get Aaron Kenny coming across on a drag route, catches the ball before being hit by Michael Fegan. You know, you've had a lot of success with the tight end coming out the back door, but that time Alabama was prepared for it.
McGriff and Kareem are wide right. Darrell Jackson to the left. The pass intended for Travis McGriff. He made a great catch at the 2-yard line. Florida sets up first and goal at the Alabama 2 on another spectacular play by Travis McGriff.
And you know, David, you look at Travis McGriff and the play that he made, this is understandable. I mean, Michael Fegan is a senior, and here he's got Travis McGriff running down the sideline. He never looks for the football. You know, you're taught that eventually you got to locate the football, and this defensive back, as McGriff is decoying him, does not look for the football. As we see Travis McGriff already today going over 200 yards.
Boy, he is having a tremendous day. The Gators are going to use a timeout. They've been here before today, and they haven't been able to put it in repeatedly. Alabama uses this timeout, rather. Well, Florida has had to settle for 3 field goals, and they certainly want to put it in here.
And it's important that they do put it in here. They need some breathing room. They need to take control of this football game, because if you allow a team like Alabama to go into the fourth quarter with a chance to win, they get better. The crowd gets behind them, and it'll be a lot tougher to put them away. If they can punch it in here, stop them, get it again, and score again, they can take this crowd completely out the ball game, and the fourth quarter will not be as difficult. But it's important that they get it in this particular drive.
And have it at the Alabama 2 when play resumes. Well, for more insight into the Gators and sports in Florida, click on SunshineNetwork.com, offering news, notes, and opinions by some of the state's best sports columnists and reporters. SunshineNetwork.com, your web source for Florida sports. Really an outstanding website. Check it out regularly, and a lot of interesting information there on SunshineNetwork.com. We haven't seen much of Travis Taylor today. And Taylor has been a key part of Florida's offense. He's got a sore shoulder coming into the ball game, and that might be why we haven't seen him as often as usual. But Taylor is on the field now, split wide to the right. Terry Jackson is now in the backfield. Quarterback Doug Johnson gives to Jackson, and Alabama saw that play coming from the outset. Kenny Smith came slashing in and made a solid stop on the Florida tailback.
Well, the Gators are continually trying to run off tackle, and what the Crimson Tides are doing is they're getting people in the gap, trying to get up underneath the pads, not allowing Jackson anywhere to cut back.
Taylor and Jackson come off the field. And the Gators go with 2 tight ends and 1 wide receiver, Nafis Kareem. Running backs in the I formation. Alabama stacked up at the line. Johnson bootlegs, and there's nobody there. Doug trying to make a positive play out of it, and he fumbles the football. It looked like Dwight Edge had a chance at it, but no, Alabama comes away with it. Travis Smith near the goal line. Alabama with the recovery.
Well, the one thing, once you make a decision to run with the football, because the Gators did not fool the Alabama defense coming out on a naked bootleg, you've got to put that football away. You've got to tuck it under and protect the football once you're forced to run with it. And here you see Doug Dunn does a good job of faking, but Moorhead is not fooled. Now here he's got to put that ball away. They're reaching for it. They're able to scrap it out. And then here we see Dwight Edge with a shot, but he's not able to come down with it.
Alabama defense comes up with a big play on the doorstep, and the Crimson Tide, only down by 6, take the football. First down and 10 from the 1. They give to the fullback, McClintock, running hard, churning to the 5. Pretty good pickup. Johnny Rutledge on his back, and McClintock grinds out 2 or 3.
Good tough running by Dustin McClintock. Just trying to pick up a little extra yardage to give his quarterback some room to work.
Well, I cannot remember a Florida football team have this much trouble scoring points inside the 10-yard line. We're not talking the 20. They've been inside Alabama's 10 4 times, I think, today, Nat.
And normally that will come back to haunt you when you're able to get the ball down there and not able to punch it in. And they have not been able to throw the ball well down there or run the football.
Andrew Zhao, incomplete. Calvin Hall had found an open spot in there, and the ball was thrown just a little bit high.
Well, no, I don't say that. I say that the ball hit him in a bad spot. This is one where it looked like Calvin Hall sat down instead of continuing to run, and the ball hits him right in the hands. If he keeps running, this is an easy catch, and he's still running.
Third down for the Crimson Tide from their 5-yard line. 3rd and 7. 2:14 to play in the 3rd quarter. Take the handoff. The freshman wrapped up at the 2. Derek Chambers collapsed in on him, and Alabama is going to have to punt the football from its own end zone. Excellent work by Florida's defense. They came onto the field and did their job.
And that's what we've been talking about, going in 3 and out. This is supposed to be one of the better defenses in college football. Here they decide to go after him. They come with the blitz. They force him to pull it down. Everybody's alert, and there's just nowhere for Andrew Zhao to run with the football. Good defensive series by the Gators.
The Gators still protecting a 16-10 lead. Daniel Pope, his heels back on the out-of-bounds line. And John Capel standing deep at the 45 of Alabama. Good snap. There's a great punt. Look at this. Out of a cannon. Capel backpedaling to his 40. Capel running straight up the middle of the field, and into Alabama territory goes John Capel to the 47. A 56-yard punt by Daniel Pope. And he's had a couple of shanks today, but when he really needed it, he unloaded on that one.
Well, that time he couldn't worry about trying to kick it away from Capel, so he hit it long and high. But, I like what Capel did with the catch. He caught the ball, no nonsense, not trying to outrun anybody. He right back upfield, trying to pick up positive yardage, giving the Gators good field position inside the Alabama 50-yard line.
At the 47 to be exact, with 1:12 to play in the 3rd quarter, and a close ball game in the SEC today in Alabama. Palmer back, getting pressure, no chance. Down he goes at the 42. Kenny Smith came right up the middle.
Well, not only Kenny Smith, but the entire right side of that Alabama defensive line, it's like they just turned them loose. I mean, there's just nowhere for him to go with the football, and smartly, Palmer got down, took the sack. The Gators are interchanging some of their offensive line personnel. Ben Brown is in at the left tackle, along with Ryan Kalick.
That was a loss of 10 on the draw play. Terry Jackson across the 50 to the 45, a gain of about 12 for Jackson. And Warren Faust is the man who makes the tackle for Alabama. That gets the lost yardage back, but now it's 3rd down and 8 for the Florida Gators.
But it gets it back in a good 3rd down situation. If you take a chance on throwing the football and you don't complete it, now it's 3rd and 13, 3rd and 15. Now you've got 3rd and medium with an opportunity to convert to 1st down.
And that will be the final play of the third quarter.
And that's the end of the third quarter.
And in the third quarter, Alabama adds a touchdown. Florida scores only 3 points and misses a golden opportunity with the fumble at the Alabama 1-yard line. And as a result, it's a 6-point Gator lead going to the final 15 minutes. Fourth quarter just about ready to get underway from Alabama. Number 8, Florida, getting all they can handle from the Alabama Crimson Tide, a team that was nationally ranked until they got hammered last week at Arkansas. But Crimson Tide back in their home turf has played one heck of a football game. It is 3rd down and 8 for Florida at the Crimson Tide 45. Palmer throwing. Palmer being chased. And incomplete. Trying to hit the fullback, Rod Frazier, and the Gators will have to turn the ball over to Alabama. And the Crimson Tide certainly is beginning to believe that an upset is a possibility, Nat, as we look again at the incompletion.
Good job by the offensive line, picking up the blitz, giving him time. And you know, what you like to see him do is threaten the line of scrimmage to force those defenders to come up. Then you've got a better chance of dropping the ball over their head to your receiver. But the longer you stay back, not threatening the line of scrimmage, the more the pursuit from inside out will get to you.
Florida's David Wazalewski will try and pin Alabama back deep in its territory. A high kick, and Sigler calls for the fair catch. He fumbled it. There's a flag. I don't think the Gators gave him enough room to catch the football.
There's a flag on the play.
Well, Alabama is going to keep it, even though Florida has somebody laying on top of it at the moment. You got to give the return man a little bit of space.
Got to give him 2 yards. And the problem here is the ball was hanging and actually coming back.
Special teams were a mess last week against Kentucky and have continued to have some problems today.
But in all fairness to the kick cover team, you know, it's kind of hard for them to locate the ball.
That was a 2-yard violation of the buffer zone on the receiver. The Reds ball, first down.
And that'll certainly get Alabama out of the hole.
And as we go back and look at the picture there, you see Alexander's trying to get out of the way, and he really thinks that he's 2 yards away, but the guy's running to him to try and catch the ball. As we look at Mike DeBose and his reaction on his guy not catching the football.
That brings the ball out to the 16-yard line, and Alabama hustling out its offensive unit ready to go. 14 minutes, 40 seconds to play in the ball game. Alabama trails by only 6 points against Florida. Zhao short drop and a pass incomplete. Well, he is just taking a quick step and unloading that ball.
He's taken 1-2, and the ball is gone. It's impossible to get there unless you've got everybody covered and force him to hold on to the football. 1, 2, 3, ball gone. And I don't think Quincy Jackson really wanted that ball as he was looking at Johnny Rutledge coming to hit him. So he sort of short arm that one.
Reggie McGrew limped off the field after that play. And now Zhao works from the shotgun. His pass complete. Jackson steps inside Emmanuel. And Alabama picks up a first down at the Crimson Tide 29-yard line. Rutledge came over from his middle linebacker spot to make the tackle.
Well, Marquand was in great position to make the play. He sees it all the way. He just overruns Quincy Jackson. Well, there's nothing that Bobby Stoops can do about that. All you can do is try and get your defenders in the proper position. They've got to make the play.
First down, Alabama. Sean Alexander. Nice cut to the inside, and that's good first down yardage for the Crimson Tide. Give him 6 to the 35. Gerard Warren made the tackle. A teammate of Andrew Zhao at Union County High School.
And what we're starting to see is the confidence of this Tide football team starting to build. You know, they're mixing it up pretty well, throwing the football as well as running the football. All of a sudden, Sean Alexander is finding holes, finding some daylight up the middle.
Florida had a chance to perhaps put this ball game away when it fumbled at the 1-yard line of the Crimson Tide, and the Crimson Tide is taking advantage of the opportunity. Great wall along the right side. Alexander lowers his shoulder for another Alabama 1st and 10. Crimson Tide has moved the ball out from its 16-yard line, and now they are first down at their own 44.
And you have to wonder if this Gator defense is not starting to wear down. You know, they've been on the field quite a bit here today. They haven't had many 3-and-out series.
Give to Alexander again. And boy, that right side of the Alabama offensive line is suddenly gaining ground against Florida's defensive front four. Along the left side of Florida's defensive wall. But give Hogan, the center, and Red Mill and Samuels, those big fellows on the Alabama front line, a lot of credit. Cuthbert, McDonald, Alexander beginning to find a little rhythm for the Crimson Tide. Well, second down and 4.
What they're doing, David, is they're just trying to get a hat on every defender and try and get some leg drive, and hopefully Alexander will find his hole.
Now going deep. And incomplete. Tony George, good coverage on McAdley. And Jason McAdley, the freshman from Oak Ridge, Tennessee, bumping downfield with Tony George, but there was no flag.
Well, there's no flag because Tony George was in perfect position. If there's going to be a penalty call, it would have to be against Jason McAdley because he's the guy that's running through Tony George, keeping him from having an opportunity. The defensive player has as much right to the football as the offensive player. You cannot go through him to get to the football.
And here is a big third down play for the Crimson Tide. They need to advance to the 46 of Florida. From the shotgun, Zal steps up. Now the freshman throwing it upfield, and it is incomplete. George again covering. Eric Locke, freshman receiver, had a step on him, but it'll be fourth down for the Crimson Tide.
And that really shows you the athleticism of Andrew Zal as he's pinned back in there. He's got pressure, and watch him avoid the tackles. He slides up, he gets away from the Gator defenders, gets outside, and tries to make a perfect throw as he lobs it up just out of the reach of Eric Lott.
Daniel Pope will have to punt it, and McGriff waits at the 10-yard line. Oh, here comes the fake. And then he decided to kick it. McGriff calls for the fair catch and makes it at the 6-yard line. 43-yard punt by Pope, who drew the arm back as if to fake the punt, and apparently didn't like what he saw, so he went ahead and punted it.
Well, David, what actually happened on that play is the Gators only had 10 men on the field to start the play. So they had a guy running on the field who was supposed to be covering the flyer. And that's why David Pope, when he first got it, he saw him over there waving. He was going to throw him the football, but the Gator defender got there just in time. And it just goes to show you where if you were coming after him, you'd have had a block. But because you were playing protection first, he's able to scan the field and then kick the football.
Another breakdown on the special teams. Florida gets the ball back with 11:54 to play in the fourth quarter, leading by 6. October 24th, 1964 in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Steve Spurrier, the Florida quarterback, he connects for the first touchdown of the game. Florida leads 7-0. Spurrier scrambling, keeps the football, and this play sets up Florida's second touchdown of the game. They led 14-7 at that time, but Alabama's Steve Bowman scores his second touchdown of the afternoon. A 30-yard run made it 14-14. Then with 3 minutes left, David Ray of Alabama kicked a 21-yard field goal. 17-14 the final, Alabama. That's one Steve Spurrier memory. Alabama went on to win the national championship in 1964. Where Steve Spurrier went on a couple of years later to win the Heisman Trophy, and now a great coach at the University of Florida.
But did you see Steve Spurrier scrambling up the middle of the field, trying to get it in for a touchdown, and that's what we need to see these Gator quarterbacks do here on occasions.
Let's go to the field and Larry Vittel.
I tell you, talk about late field goals. The Gators didn't make that one, but right now they're way back, a long way from scoring territory. A long way to go to this game, and the Gator offense has got to get out of the shadows of the goalpost.
They're going to try and do it on the ground on first down. Terry Jackson carries it across the 10 to about the 12-yard line.
on the tackle for Alabama.
And the Gators are 2nd and 7 from their own 12.
Second down, 7 yards to go.
Well, the Gators have not been able to establish a running game all day. And, the fourth quarter is usually where if you've been able to run the football, you really take control of the game. But because of that, the Gators probably will have to go through the air.
Keep it on the ground again with Terry Jackson. And he finds some daylight across the 20. It's a Florida first down. Tony Dixon made the Alabama tackle at the 22.
Well, that's a big first down because you not only want to give your quarterback some breathing room and regain field position, but you want to keep your defense off the field, give them a chance to catch a breather, as you see Terry Jackson picking up big yardage on the draw.
So the drive began at the Florida 9. The Gators have moved it with the first down out to the 22. Draw play again to Jackson. Running away from the linebacker and dragged down from behind at the 34-yard line. After another good carry, Marcus Spencer grabbed him around what looked like the front part of the helmet. Took him down.
Looked like a potential face mask,
yes,
but the official was right there and didn't throw the flag. So, he had a better angle than we did.
Got him around the neck and dragged him down. A good play by Spencer.
That's just a little lasso as he's able to pull him down.
Less than 1 yard to go.
Still a 9-yard gain. Less than a yard to go for Florida. Using some clock, keeping it on the ground. 3 consecutive handoffs to Terry Jackson. This time Palmer goes to the air. And overthrows Travis Taylor. And a flag is thrown. I don't know if it's going to be offense or defense. Fernando Bryant, Travis Taylor tangled up. And it's defensive pass interference on Alabama.
And the reason they call this on Fernando Bryant is that you cannot run into the receivers, and you've got your arm actually holding him back. What the official sees is the inside arm. If Travis Taylor would have been running up his back, it would have been called the other way. But because Travis was trying to go around him, and you use your inside arm to hold him back, or your outside arm to hold him back, the official was right on it, made the call.
The result, the Florida first down with 10:06 to play in the fourth quarter. A 16-10 Florida lead. Running backs in the eye. Fullback Frazier almost stepped back. Now the give to Jackson. And he has no room. 2nd and 10. Steve Stanley.
Tackled by Marcus Spencer.
Marcus Spencer combined to make the tackle for Alabama.
Well, Steve Stanley's standing back there, his outside position. You see Marcus Spencer coming up, making a good hit. Forcing Jackson to get outside with the strong safety filling. That's how you play good, solid defense.
The football is just shy of the 50. 2nd and 9 for the Gators. Quarterback Jesse Palmer under center. Blitz is on. Palmer steps up. Did a nice job to get away from the initial pressure, but then couldn't find his way clear. And now the Gators are looking at 3rd down and about 12.
But David, every time the quarterbacks come out of there, they get pressure and it looked like they're going to try and do something with the football. It almost looked like they're running in cement. They just look so unathletic or so lost with the football as they've never been there before. You've got to realize people are going to be flying around, flying at you, and you've got to be able to protect the football and find a lane.
John Capel is on the field, and they split him wide to the left. So look out for something that might be coming back in a reverse. But the Gators are going to take time out to talk it over. They have moved the ball out from their own 9-yard line, but Florida is faced with a 3rd and 11 when we come back. The 5th-ranked Gators soccer team will host UNC Greensboro Friday, October 9th at 8 o'clock at Percy Beard Stadium. Then on Sunday the 11th, it's the Adidas Showdown. Florida hosting 15-time NCAA champion and #1 ranked North Carolina. Better get there early because the Gators soccer attendance record is going to fall, and the first 1,000 fans get Adidas Showdown t-shirts. That's Sunday the 11th of October, Florida, North Carolina soccer at Percy Beard. that is going to be something. It's going to be a huge crowd at Percy Beard Track for the soccer match between Florida and North Carolina. We got a crowd of 83,000 plus in here today, and the Gators have only one timeout left, Nat.
Yeah, and that's big, because if you're only up 6 points, if you're not able to put some points on the board, if the Crimson Tide go down and score a touchdown, you don't have the one timeout if you get down to the critical moments of the ball game.
Well, here is a big play. Doug Johnson is quarterbacking. Johnson backpedaling, now throwing. It's caught at the 38. First down for the Florida Gators. Darrell Jackson with the clutch catch, and the Gator drive is still alive.
And I'll tell you what's so impressive about that clutch catch by Darrell Jackson is we see him trotting off the field. Looked like he hurt his left shoulder, but there is Alabama players all around him, and he's able to have great vision and come around the defender and locate the football and catch it.
When Johnson threaded the ball right in there, an excellent throw by Doug Johnson, who now is on the sideline, and Jesse Palmer is in quarterbacking. First down at the Alabama 40. A big third down conversion. Now Terry Jackson driven down by free safety Kelvin Sigler. He is a big play man for Alabama. He forced 2 fumbles last week against Arkansas, and he's the guy that knocked the ball free from Doug Johnson down at the goal line earlier. So you got to watch out when Sigler is the guy that's making the tackle, because he does have a knack for shaking the ball free.
Yeah, senior free safety, one of the most experienced players on the defensive football team. He's going to always be around the football. I would expect to see the Gators go up top here. They're starting to crowd the line of scrimmage. There's nowhere to run with the football. Would not be surprised to see the Gators go up top.
Nice protection. The pass caught by McGriff. And Fernando Bryant drives him back, but McGriff's forward progress will be close to a first down.
And as long as they've got 7, 8 men in the box, this is something the Gators can do all day, David. If you can isolate your #1 receiver, Travis McGriff, the way you do on Bryant here out one-on-one, he's got to cover him all the way to the goal line. There's just no way he can cover the curl route as well as the go route.
The Gators are inches shy of a first down, and pretty much get a free play right here. Travis McGriff, what a day for the senior. 9 catches, 213 yards. Florida plays it safe and picks up the first down with Johnson going right up the middle of the 27.
And that was just a thing of beauty to see that surge. It's 3rd and inches. You pick up 4 yards as Johnson is able to tuck in behind Zach Sedalis, Ryan Kalick, and Cooper Carlisle to pick up the first down.
Robert Gillespie checks into the Florida backfield. The speedy freshman lines up behind quarterback Jesse Palmer. Alabama comes with a blitz. The Gators pick it up. Palmer's got Gillespie all by himself. He's got the football, but he stumbled out of bounds at the 3-yard line.
I thought someone told me that Robert Gillespie is supposed to be an athletic individual, a ballerino.
Lightning.
So far, Lightning looked like he's got toughness with his feet, especially when he's wide open. The toughest catch in the world is when you're wide open and the quarterback lobs it up. You're so worried about catching the football that you forget where you're at on the sideline. But here we go again, inside the 10-yard line. Let's see if we can punch it in.
And the Gators have been there 5 times before today and have come away with only 9 points in those 5 times inside the Alabama 10. Terry Jackson slips a tackler, but not another, as Kenny Smith is the guy that wrapped him up at about the 3.
Well, the tough thing is they keep trying to run off tackle, David. If you're running off tackle and they're getting people in the gap, there's just nowhere to cut back. I'd like to see them go just right at them, right up the center. Everybody get a hat on a man and just try and drive them out.
The ball is spotted at the 2. A drive that began at Florida's 9-yard line about 6 minutes ago on the clock. So it's effectively chewed up the clock. The Gators protecting a 6-point lead. Trying to add to it as Palmer takes and gives to Jackson. The ball pops loose. It's free in the end zone.
This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. You've got 2 opportunities inside the 10-yard line to put the game away, and the ball comes out.
3 turnovers now for the Gators inside the 5-yard line. They fumbled at the 1. They threw an interception in the end zone and now fumbled again in the end zone. Unbelievable.
And the ball was just stripped out by number 90, Jamie Carter.
So the Crimson Tide will have it at the 20 and an opportunity if they can drive it down the field and kick the extra point to win the football game. 5:43 to play. The crowd is energized again. Sean Alexander. Peterson got him, and then he was driven down by Ed Chester, but a gain of 5 on first down for Alabama. And they've got 2 timeouts left. The Gators only 1 with 5:30 to play.
2 timeouts and lots of time. They can stay with their normal offense. They don't have to really get into a panic. You know, one of the sad parts about not only fumbling the ball and not putting points on the board, you fumble it into the end zone, they get to bring it out to the 20-yard line, so you don't even have it all backed up.
Andrew Zhao hands to Alexander again. And he turns his back to the Florida defense and drives for a couple of yards to the 38. That will bring up 3rd down and 2 for the Crimson Tide. And a critical 3rd down play is coming up. Let's go to the field and Larry.
Well, David, the Gator defense tries to reach down deep and get a critical stop here late in the 4th quarter, but that Florida offense has to be talking to itself. 6 times in the red zone, 1 touchdown. And the Gators have 3 times in their 2 road games fumbled inside the opponent 5-yard line. Bama's only down 6. 1 score could do it.
That's all they need, and Florida says that there was movement on the offensive line. Now, correct me if I'm wrong now, Nat, but the Florida touchdown was a 32-yard pass, so if you get technical
Dead
about
ball.
it.
Illegal procedure against the offense. 5 yards, still 3rd down.
Florida's been inside the 10-yard line 6 times now and has come away with only 9 points.
Well, you know, that's just a tough situation. And the right guard hitches a little bit there as Zhao backs out. You know, he was just going on the movement of Andrew Zhao instead of watching the football.
Zhao scrambling. Now throwing it deep for Jackson. Knocked away by Manuel. That's a big-time play by Marquand Manuel because Jackson had a half step on him, and that ball was well thrown by Andrew Zhao.
It was well thrown as Zhao seen Jackson going down the left sideline, but Marquand maintained his positioning, and even though Jackson was trying to push off, he stayed right there, located the football, and watch him just lay out, get a hand in there, knocking it away.
Florida's defense has been up to the task all day, and that is a huge defensive stand by the Gator defense, getting the ball back into the hands of the offense with 4:13 to play, unless Alabama fakes the punt. Daniel Pope turns it loose. McGriff signals for the fair catch and makes the fair catch, looking up into a bright sky, a high sun, midday here in Tuscaloosa. That's a tough play, and McGriff made it nicely. So the Gators get the ball back thanks to the tremendous play of its defensive unit again. 4:04 to play. Florida protecting a 6-point lead. Florida has moved the ball up and down the field today, but the scoreboard does not indicate that. They've missed numerous opportunities, and now they try to just protect a 6-point lead with 4 minutes and 4 seconds left in the football game in Alabama. Florida quarterback Doug Johnson. The give is to the tailback Robert Gillespie. Terry Jackson rather, across the 30 to the 32-yard line. Jackson, the man who fumbled the ball into the end zone on Florida's last possession.
And one of the things you want to do,
go right back to him.
You know, he's your senior. He's been your go-to guy during the year. You know, give him another shot at it.
It's also Terry who fumbled at Tennessee, so he's had a tough luck year. 5 yards on the pickup, though, and Jackson gets the call again, breaking free over the middle, and a first down for the Gators. Terry Jackson running hard, grinding that clock down, which continues to tick Stopped at the moment for the moving of the chains along the far side of the field, but with 3:23 left, Terry Jackson and the Florida Gators are sitting on a 16-10 lead against Alabama.
Good blocking up front, good isolation block by Frazier, but watch what Terry Jackson does. He sees that there's going to be some contact. You know, he knows he just put it on the ground last time. He puts both arms over it, covers up, doesn't try to pick up extra yardage.
Gators at the 43. Jackson gets the call again. A yard to the 45, and Cornelius Griffin put the brakes on Terry Jackson. Clock ticking, 2:49. Alabama still has 2 timeouts left. They would like to conserve them if they can stop Florida. They must stop the Gators here and deny Florida another first down.
Well, here you see Terry Jackson. See, there's nothing there. You know, in the past, he would be fighting, trying to make something happen. Here he realizes it's more important to protect the football. He turns back in, puts both arms over it, and just tries to drive with his legs, but not giving up, giving anyone a shot at the football.
High formation. Johnson gives to Jackson. Terry, big hole left side. He breaks free. First down for the Gators. Terry Jackson to the 40 and then the 35-yard line of Alabama before Dixon makes the tackle. That is a big first down, and now the Gators have field position and time on their side. And Alabama, with 2 timeouts left, is in big trouble.
Good job by that left side, David. Didn't mean to jump in there too soon, but here you see him trying to go after the football, but as soon as Terry Jackson is aware there's defenders in the area, he covers it up. You know, this is the way that we really expect to see the Gators run the football all year long, but here it is, fourth quarter. They got to have it, and the offensive line is getting the job done.
Terry Jackson has gone over 100 yards, 129 for the game. And it's the Terry Jackson drive, this sequence for the Gators, as they grind down the clock. And Alabama is going to have to use one of their 2 remaining timeouts with 1:41 to play in the ball game. And Florida's offense just wearing down the Crimson Tide late in the fourth quarter. There's some tired football players on that field on both sides. It's a hot day in Tuscaloosa, and these 2 teams have fought hard.
Well, David, what has happened, unlike the third quarter, the fourth quarter, the Gators have been able to move the ball down the field. They haven't been able to put points on the board, but they've been able to control the football. So that Alabama defense now is starting to wear down, where in the third quarter, the Gator defense was on the field the whole ball game, and they had started to wear down a little bit. But we got a little role reversal going.
Terry Jackson over the 100-yard mark. In the Steve Spurrier era, the Gators are 48-1 when a back runs for 100 yards or more in a game. So looks like statistically the Gators have that working for them, and if they can just hold on to the football now for 1:41, they're going to win today.
Well, they have forced Alabama to use one of their 2 remaining timeouts, so you know, if they can pick up another first down, it would really sort of seal the victory, I think.
Back to the sideline now, and Larry Vittel. Larry.
Well, David, the Florida Gators right now just need to be careful. Alabama's got 1 more timeout, then you got another play, clock winds down. They can punt in the end zone, there'd be less than a minute. Obviously, a first down puts it in the bank. About the only thing that really causes the Gators problems right now would be another mistake. They've had plenty. You got to believe they've had their fill and they're done for the day, but we'll find out in the next couple of snaps.
I suspect that Coach Steve Spurrier just wants to get out of here with the W right now. Only 1:41 left, and now Florida will burn its final timeout after Alabama used a timeout. Doug Johnson approached center and then stepped away and said, let's talk about it. Florida 16, Alabama 10. The Gators try to hold on in Tuscaloosa. The Florida Gators have kept the ball on the ground, using the clock, picking up first downs. Alabama's down to its final timeout. It is 2nd down and 7 for the Florida Gators, and Eugene McCaslin gets the call, and he was tripped up. It looked like he might have had a lot of yardage there, but somebody just got enough of his ankle to trip him up.
Yeah, I think it was the grass. I mean, you know, you've got great blocking at the point of attack, and, you know, all he's got to do is just, you know, step through it, and just look like he tripped over his own 2 feet as he comes through there. You know, he just trips over his own 2 feet. I mean, he's got plenty of running room, and
You know, you just have to wonder what's going to happen next. You got a chance to pick up that first down and, you know, seal the victory, and instead you fall forward for a 2-yard gain.
Now Alabama has used its last timeout, and if they can stop the Gators here and get the ball back, then they've got a chance.
Well, Jackie Shipp there, you're right about that. If they could stop him here, they get a chance. But Jackie Shipp, this is his first year as a defensive line coach. I had the pleasure of playing with him in Miami. He was a Dolphin linebacker, but he's really happy with these young guys he's got on defense. And as you can see, he's a very intense character.
Well, his team has really performed well, especially in clutch situations today, repeatedly keeping Florida out of the end zone.
Well, he told me, David, that he felt that as soon as they start to simplify this and stop trying to run so many different defenses and stunts and et cetera, that this is going to be a good football team.
Harry Jackson trying to pick up the first down. It would appear that he did not get there. He needed to get to the 25, and the spot will be at about the 26. So now it's 4th down and 1:20 to play. And Steve Spurrier has a decision to make. It looks like the Gators are going to just try and run out as much clock as possible. And if they pick up the first down here, obviously the game's over. If not, then the defense has to come on and deny Alabama a big play.
Well, they need a yard, and you know, as the clock runs down, you know, it's going to be inside a minute, even if you don't make it. So you got to go for it here. You know, the risk you run trying to kick a field goal, you could get it blocked.
Well, here's Alabama's last chance. And a handoff to Jackson. He drives forward, but I don't think he got there. Jackson trying to churn those legs to the 25, but the spot will be short of that mark. And Alabama, with 45 seconds on the clock and no timeouts left, is going to have a chance to pull it out.
Well, it was a call that anytime you try and give it to the guy that's 7 yards deep, that means that offensive line has got to block a heck of a lot longer. You know, sometimes you say, why don't you just give it to the fullback? There was just nowhere for him to go with the football as the Crimson Tides got down and got under the pads. As you see, Zach Pillars trying to give Jackson a little help there, but to no avail.
All right, here it comes. This is the ball game right here with only 45 seconds left, and Alabama at the Crimson Tide 26. No timeouts remaining for them.
And this is something that Alabama is showing where they try and confuse you with the stack.
A flag is thrown. Willie Cohen's had him in. He's tripped up by Mike Peterson. But there is a flag on the play.
Well, that's a sack by Willie Cohen's, but it's basically, again, a coverage sack. You got to give the secondary a lot of credit. You know, they've done a good job of hanging in there with those receivers.
Florida with the nickel package, which they've used quite frequently today defensively.
The illegal procedure. The offensive team didn't have enough people on the line of scrimmage. The 5-yard penalty.
So Mike DeBose, 5-yard penalty. They didn't have enough folks lined up on the line.
Well, that's part of the problem is when you got those 3 receivers out there, you know, you've got to have 7 men up on the line of scrimmage. And, of course, with the stack, somebody's got to get up.
Florida will decline the penalty. There seems to be some confusion about what exactly the Gators are going to do.
They want to take the penalty is really what they'd like to do, because it doesn't matter whether it's first down or second down. You know, there's only 33 seconds on the clock. You know, that's the problem. All you've got to do is worry about giving them as far as they can go.
First downs are not really that big of a deal right now.
Not important.
But the Gators wound up accepting the penalty, a 5-yarder, which makes Alabama have to go 79 yards now instead of 74 to tie the football game and give themselves a chance to win it with an extra point. 33 seconds left.
What the Gators cannot have here is a mental breakdown, allowing someone to get behind the secondary. And if the guy catches it over the middle, you know, you've got to make the sure tackle.
Now it's second down, and if the Gators had declined the penalty, it would be third down with 28 seconds left. So maybe declining would have been the
Now,
better thing to do.
I still think you take the additional yards, you push them back, you just make it as far as possible for them to go with the clock being your ally.
There you see the clock. Freshman quarterback Andrew Zhao pump fakes. Now he's throwing it deep. He's got a man open. The ball makes the catch, and somehow he got behind Florida's defense.
Well, that was just a bonehead play, and I hate to say it, by the senior, Tony George. There's just no way he can allow this guy to get behind him. You know, he goes for a perfect. He's not going to make the ball in the middle of the field. He's got to stay out there with this guy. Do not let anybody get behind him, and he just dropped his coverage.
45 yards on the play. Alabama first down at the Gator 34. They have got to put the ball into the end zone. The field goal does not help. Well, they've kept everybody in the stadium right to the end. Zhao throws. It's picked off. Tony George got it. He stepped right in front of the receiver and made a great play after giving up the big pass just moments earlier.
And that's just a rookie mistake by Andrew Zhao, because there's no way you make that throw. The guy's up on it. You cannot throw it out there. You've got to see that he's covered. Throw the ball over his head. Tony George dodged the bullet. He made the play in the end of the ball game to steal the victory, but the play that he made before, he will have a tough time in film studies this week with Bobby Stoops.
Right now, it's nothing but all warmth and good feelings on the sideline for Tony George. But the Gators have really dodged a bullet today.
Well, when you play as bad as they have played offensively, and then the mistakes that they made defensively, you're just happy to get out of here with a victory, knowing that this game is a lot closer than it should have ever been.
9 seconds left. The Gators just dropped to a knee. Quarterback Jesse Palmer takes the last snap. And this football game is winding down. But what a game it was, with Florida missing many opportunities to put it away offensively. The defense having to come up and make big plays time after time. Steve Spurrier, in the end, gets the victory.
Well, Steve gets the victory, David, but I hope that these Alabama fans don't get on that young freshman, Andrew Zhao, because he really played a great ball game. He made a mistake at the end of the ball game. That's part of the learning process for a young guy like that, a freshman. You know, Alabama came to play today. They gave the Gators all they could handle, so it's now up to the Alabama Crimson Tide to go back, work on their offense, use the young guy, but eventually, as we look at the Nokia connection of the ball game, the Nokia connection of the game is a interception by Tony George. You know, David, that's why I always let you do this. You know, they throw me curveballs like that.
Just stick to the analysis.
Play-by-play analyst, yeah.
But I tell you what, though, Nat, it was a big play by Tony George, but I agree with you. You give Alabama all the credit in the world, and they appear to have found a quarterback that can lead their offense and play the way they want to play this year. But Florida wins it. Steve Spurrier is now 61-9 against Southeastern Conference competition since 1990. 16-10 is the final score from Tuscaloosa.